Hello friends, welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome to Code Katas, episode 31. Well, we're gonna break things down one step at a time. We're gonna solve these katas, you and I. We're gonna break things down one step at a time. We're gonna solve these katas, you and I. Code Wars, Code Katas, Code Wars, Code Katas, Code Wars, Code Katas, yeah. Welcome to the show. If you're new to the show, this is a show I do usually every Wednesday. I tried a new thing today where I streamed in the morning as well. But you can visit github.com/codinggarden/code-katas. You can see all of the problems I've solved in past episodes, and all the problems I solve tonight will be there as well. There's also an issue tracker, so if you have any suggestions for katas for me to solve, you can submit them there. Let's say hello to everyone. I'm going to get my chat manager working. One moment. Yeah, for some reason, the chat manager's misbehaving, but I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out one day. There we go. All right, let's say hello to everyone. Hello, Daniel Garden. Welcome to the stream. Daniel says, missed the first part, but glad to catch the second. Yeah, so I woke up early enough, and I know that a lot of people in the other parts of the world like to watch in the morning, so I tried to stream this morning. I'm going to try to do that more often. Hello, Waleed. Welcome to the stream. Rand says, I hope we aren't getting rickrolled. I got rickrolled twice this morning. It was funny, but I don't know. Waleed, this is my longest 12 minutes ever. Hello, Josh. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Alicia. Welcome back. Here we go. Hello, Sven. Hello, Spacey. Hello, Bagan. Hello, Harsh. Hello, Rabbitworks. Here we are again. It couldn't come soon enough. I was waiting to stream all day. Hello, Danielle. Hello, Jillian. Hello, Boyan. Hello, Robin. Hello, Danielle. Again. Hello, TJ, who says, I'm a 12-year-old front-end and back-end coder. That is fantastic. Rand says, music always gets a like. I appreciate that, Rand. Hello, Sven from Germany. Welcome. Hello, friends. Hello, Raul. How's it going? Motivation says, 2 streams for the same katas in JavaScript. You're on fire. Base, get it? I get it. Welcome to the show. Let me double check that Twitch chat is working because we had some issues with that this morning. Well, Andrew Lane sent a message. There it is. Okay, so it should be working now. Hello, Andrew Lane. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Aiden. Welcome. So I don't have any Code Wars katas picked out. Hola, Cheddar. Welcome. I don't have any katas picked out, so we'll pick some out, and we can vote on which ones I solve. And if you have any suggestions, throw them in the chat, and I will take a look. This is my break timer. Let's take a quick stretch before we get into things. I'm getting notifications. Alrighty, so if you're new to Code Wars and Code Katas, you can go to codewars.com, and they have coding problems of all skill levels. 8Q is usually the easiest. It goes all the way up to 1Q, which are very difficult. I usually like to start with around 8 or 7Q, and then we gradually get a little bit more difficult. And I also like to solve them in multiple ways and show different ways of solving them and get suggestions from the chat on different ways of solving them as well. So we're going to start with a 7Q. Let's try to find one. Odd or even. I looked at deodorant evaporator, I think last stream. It seemed interesting. I don't think I want to solve it. Sum of all the multiples of 3 or 5. Summing a number's digits. Factorial. Sort array by string length. We'll take a look at all of those. Hello, Rabbitworks, who is plugging Hacktoberfest 2019. Yes, so Hacktoberfest, let's just look up what it is really quick because it's a cool thing where you can get a free t-shirt and also contribute to open source. So pretty much if you make 4 pull requests in the month of October, you can go here, you submit your evidence for submitting pull requests, and you'll get a limited edition t-shirt. And there's a lot of open source repos out there where if you look at the issues, some of them are labeled as Hacktoberfest or good for beginners, and it's a good way to get started with open source. So yes, definitely check that out. TJ says, can I do a collab project with you? Maybe. We'll have to figure it out. You can message me on Discord. Hello, Brandon. Welcome. Yeah, like Rabbitworks says, it's a great way to get started with open source, and you get an awesome t-shirt. Motivation says, I waited for your 30-minute countdown notification to start to make a fresh batch of coffee. All right, we're going to stay up, and we're ready to write some code. All right. Let's see these problems. This first one is called odd or even. So given an array of numbers, determine whether the sum of all the numbers is odd or even. Give your answer in a string format as odd or even. Sounds easy enough. Cool. This next one, sum of all the multiples of 3 or 5. So your task is to write a function, find sum up to and including in. This function will return the sum of all multiples of 3 and 5. So you're given a number, and you have to calculate all multiples of 3 and 5 up to that number, and you sum them. Interesting. This one is summing a number's digits. So write a function named SumDigits, which takes a number as input and returns the sum of the absolute value of each of the number's decimal digits. So yeah, essentially we just add up all the digits in the number. So 1 plus 0 is 1, 9 plus 9 is 18, 3 plus 2 is 5. That's also interesting. Factorial. I feel like I've done factorial on the stream before. Maybe this is a different one. In mathematics, the factorial of a non-negative integer n denoted by n factorial is the product of all positive integers less than or equal to n. For example, 5 factorial is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Cool. So essentially, given a number, we just have to calculate the factorial. Awesome. And this last one, sort array by string length. So write a function that takes an array of strings as an argument and returns a sorted array containing the same strings, ordered from shortest to longest. So for example, if this array were passed as an argument, your function would return the following array. So given an array of strings, we sort them by length and return the array. Okay, this is a nice warm-up. All of these are going to be fairly easy. We can solve them in multiple ways, but let's do a poll to see which one I should solve. So we've got odd or even. That's that one. We've got sum of all multiples of 3 or 5. Share the link. Summing a number's digits. That's this one. We've got factorial. Oop. And the last one, sort array by string length. This one could be fun. We can use the built-in sort function. We could also write our own sort function, which would be very interesting. Okay. There's the poll. I will send it out now using SimD.js. We could try. Hello, Doc. Welcome to the stream. So SimD is single instruction, multiple data, right? I remember when C# got that feature. Cool. So vote on which kata I should solve. Take a look at the results. Well, we'll keep it there for now, but let's catch up on the chat. Danielle is saying, here's a 6Q that's been sitting in my profile forever. Let's take a look. So codewars.com/kata/ oh, that didn't do it. Decode the Morse code. Actually, I've solved this one before. Let's see when I solved it. I think if you go to code.katas.now.sh, I need to update this site, but this has most of the ones that I have solved. Morse code. Oh, I did this in episode 1. All the way 30 episodes ago, I solved that one. Cool. Daniel's asking, do I listen to any dev podcasts? Yeah, so I listen to Syntax FM. This is a great one. It's by Wes Boss and Scott Talinsky. It's super fun and entertaining, and I listen to it most times when I have a longer commute. Usually my commute is only like 15 minutes, but I can still listen to it on that. So I listen to Syntax FM. I used to listen to, what was it? JavaScript Jabber. I haven't really listened to it in a while, but it's still a good one. They usually have pretty prolific guests, and they have a panel on. So that one's awesome. What else? Oh yeah, there's I haven't listened to it much, but I want to. I think it's called Views on Vue. It's a Vue.js focused podcast. There it is. Check that one out. Stephen McLunch is saying, what about the Sprint podcast? Yeah, I don't listen to it, but I do know a lot of the people that create the Sprint UX podcast. And that's all about design. I think they do talk about codings and stuff like that. That's not it. That's the wrong thing. Sprint UX podcast? Oh, sprintuxpodcast.com. So this one's fun. They do, it's not just development. They do talk about like the latest tech news and UX and design and stuff like that, but it's a pretty cool one. Bohan's saying, Boyan, merge my 20 lines of code pull request. So Boyan added some code to my chat manager that integrates Discord chat. I could merge it. I could merge it right now, but I do actually want to do a review of the code. This is going to be live chat manager. Let's see. Discord integration. I'll merge it after the stream. The only thing is it takes a little bit of setup because I'm going to need to find a bot token and a channel ID. But yeah, I'll definitely merge it soon. Hello, Brookzerker. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Cedric. It's good to see you as well. Yeah, so there's the poll. If you're just joining the stream, take a look at the poll. We're voting on which kata should I solve first. It looks like sort array by string length has the most votes right now. But if you didn't see it, vote now. That one. You know, so I'm struggling. Eventually, I'm gonna be able to send chats from this window, but I can't do that just yet. Robin is saying, when you have a Code Wars question, which could be solved with bitwise operators, please do explain bitwise operators, like using the hat to find the occurrence of a number in an array. I don't know much about bitwise operators. Usually when Alka is hanging out in the stream or Oliver, bitwise operators pop up. But yeah. Hello, Stephen McLunch. Hello, Enaboth. Welcome. Boyan is saying summing a numbers digit is like one reduce. Yeah, so we'll definitely, like, if we do that one, we'll solve it with the for loop, but then we can show how to do it with the reduce. Yeah. Yeah, Sprint UX podcast is fun. Anaboth, LOL, I'm on the stream. Yes, you are. Welcome. Rabbitworks is saying full stack radio. Let's take a look. I've never seen that one before. Fullstackradio.com, a podcast for developers interested in building great software products. Sweet. Oh, is this the one? What's the one that you were on, Rabbitworks? Is it Full Stack Radio? Yeah, because Rabbitworks was on a podcast at one point talking about Vue, I think. Yeah. HTML, all the things. Podcast.htmlallthethings.com. Cool. And Developer Tea. Yeah, I used to listen to that one. I haven't listened to it recently. This one usually has pretty short, like, bite-sized episodes, doesn't it? I feel like it might. Maybe they have longer ones, too. But that one's a cool one. I definitely have heard that one. El Toro Loco. Yeah, that's how they intro their podcast. Stephen McLunch is saying, I just got a 2-hour JavaScript code challenge, so this stream has nice timing. Cool. Usually the katas that I solve aren't hard enough to take 2 hours to solve, but we have done harder ones before. Hello, Mohammed. Welcome to the stream. Robin says, I too can't seem to wrap my head around bitwise operators. I think it comes down to breaking things down into binary, because that's kind of what's happening. Even though you're looking at decimal numbers, under the hood, it's representing it as binary, and then the bit shifting happens. And when you're doing bit shifting with binary, that actually is fairly easy to understand, because it's literally just the ones and zeros shifting around. But I don't use bitwise operators in my daily life, so I don't know much about it. Bitwise operators would have been perfect for converting IP to decimal this morning. Yeah, so that's what we... this morning I only solved one kata because it was rough getting started. But yes, it could happen. I don't know how to do it, but it's definitely possible. Sven is saying, where do you find the dev podcast? It seems to be hard to find them. I just use like the iTunes podcast search engine. Really just search for developer, software, web development. Syntax is a pretty popular one. I've been listening to it for a while. TJ is asking, what is a pull request for Hacktoberfest? Because I really want the t-shirt. So if you go to my list of videos, I created a video about contributing to open source. So if you go to this website, coding.garden/videos, and just search for open source, I created this video. It's a pretty long one because I actually attempted to contribute to open source. But in this video, I kind of break down what is open source, how do you find a project, how do you get up and going, and the end result of contributing is you take your contribution and you say, hey, will you please merge my contribution in? I've added a new feature or I fixed a bug. But if you take a look at this video, I talk about like all that good stuff. So I'll share this really quick. But a pull request is a thing on GitHub where essentially you request that the owner of the repo merge your code in. And once they merge it in, you have now contributed. I mean, honestly, just opening a pull request is a contribution. But let's say, for example, I mean, you can look at some of the Coding Garden repos, and you can take a look at Live Chat Manager. So Live Chat Manager is this tool I'm using here to look at YouTube and Twitch chat all in one. But on here, we can see there's one open pull request, and this is from Bojan, who's in the chat. And so he added some new features to this Live Chat Manager that allows Discord chats to be embedded as well. So this right here is a pull request. This is him saying, hey, CJ, please merge these changes into your code so that you can get some new features. And the pull request on GitHub shows you all the things that have changed, and then the person, in this case me, would have to review it. But that's basically what a pull request is. It's a contribution to an open source project, typically on GitHub, because that's one of the most popular things. But there are other places you can contribute as well, like Bitbucket and GitLab and others that I'm not thinking of. But yeah. Suleiman says, I love your style, especially your beard. Thank you. Did you manage to get your stand-up on time? I did, and then I realized it was canceled. So I actually didn't have a meeting until 10. It was okay, though. I still had to get ready for work. ATD is saying, JavaScript is pretty big, CJ. I don't feel bad about not knowing bitwise operators. CodeSignal has an entire section of its curriculum dedicated to bitwise operators, and it's pretty rough. Cool. It may be fun to tackle one day on the stream. Maybe we do a dedicated code katas about bitwise operators. I also don't know how popular that would be. I mean, maybe if I understand it well enough to teach it, maybe it would be popular, but I don't know. I speak English. I did get to stand up on time because it didn't happen. So yeah. Hello, Mattia. Welcome. Shop Talk is a great podcast. Let's see what it is. Is it developer related or is it just kind of general? I don't know if this is it. Shop Talk podcast. Shop Talk show. There we go. A web development and design show. Cool. Check it out. Chris Corrier? Oh, is that one of the people from that podcast? There's my break timer again. That means it has been 15 minutes since our last stretch. Oh yeah, and that's a good point. So ATD is saying my first pull request was fixing a typo. Yeah, so if you're new to code, it can be pretty intimidating to open up an open source project and try to contribute, but contributing to documentation is also open source contributions. So if you see a typo in some documentation and it's on GitHub, you can make a pull request that fixes that. Even fixing like broken links. So I've done a lot of streams on Feathers.js, and when I was making tutorials, I found like broken links that were in the guide or some things that were inconsistent, and viewers, while they were watching, I basically said, hey, go fix this, and parts of the guide here were contributed by just people watching, which is cool. CodePen Radio is their podcast about running a business. There's all kinds, yeah. I mainly just listen to Syntax. I used to, when I had I'm trying to copy this. It's like copying me in. When I had a longer commute, like when my commute was like almost 30 minutes, I would listen to JavaScript Jabber because those were like hour-long episodes. For non-dev podcasts, I listen to Radiolab, Freakonomics. There's a podcast called Cyber from Motherboard. It's all about hacking. There's a really cool podcast called Darknet Diaries. Yeah, you can see it's in my history. This show is fantastic. So if you're into hacking and penetration testing, it's super entertaining. If you're not into or know nothing about it, it's also super entertaining and will teach you a ton about it. And basically, sometimes there are guests and he'll interview them about their hacking exploits, and sometimes he'll tell just a story of a particular hack that happened. So Darknet Diaries is super cool. Yeah. Wait, what just happened? Something happened. I don't know what happened. Here's a solution for the kata. Okay, we'll hold on to that. But we will, yeah, we'll hold on to it. I haven't even started coding yet. Is that the one that won? Yeah, it has the most votes. That's probably the one we're gonna do. Sort array by string length. Okay, I'm gonna copy your solution, and we'll talk about it after I write my solution. Cool. Motivation is saying, how do you find your project ideas? Do you just code stuff that makes your life easier, or stuff that contributes to society? What's the secret? For me, I just do what I'm interested in and things that I wish existed that don't exist. If you're trying to like fill out your portfolio and like create more projects, then I really wouldn't worry about the content. It's more about the practice of building things. So yeah. But personally, yeah, I do like to build stuff that contributes to society. Mainly, I just build stuff that I need. And in turn, I make them open source, so if other people need them, they can use them too. I Speak English has a noob question. If I need to update a working server's package.json dependencies, do I have to delete the node modules or replace the package.json with the new one? So typically what you can do is npm update, I think. I've done it on stream before too. There's like actually a separate module that will help you do that. The main thing is if you have a package-lock.json, that file has specific versions of your dependencies, and so if you don't do the right thing, and potentially if you only update your package.json but don't update the package lock, you could still end up with the older dependency. Typically, you don't have to remove your node modules because once you've installed the latest version, you're good to go. So if it is just one dependency, usually what you can do, excuse me, where's my other node? There's my node. That's the wrong one. Where's the other one? That one. There we go. Usually you can do like npm I package name at, and then the specific, you can do, typically you would do hat, so you get the minor version bumps. So if you do that, this will update the package in your package.json and in your package lock, and in turn update the package in your node modules. And so that's if you're just updating one dependency, which is pretty easy. But if you're updating multiple, there are tools that help with that. I think npm check update is the one that I used. npm check updates. Yeah, so this is like an interactive CLI tool that will show you what dependencies are out of date. You can choose which ones to update, and it will automatically update your package.json, package lock, and node modules. So check that out. Star Talk. Oh, with Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's a good one too. I don't really listen to it on the regular, but Neil deGrasse Tyson is a great guy. Oh, Chris Coyier is the founder of CSS Tricks. Interesting. Best podcasts are those that DuckDuckGo cannot find at first. Yeah, you can see me struggling to find these things. I just type them into DuckDuckGo, and I have to be more specific or jump out to Google. The thing is, the more you use DuckDuckGo, the better it's going to get. That's why I keep using it. Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. There's all kinds of podcasts. Ooh, that looks, I mean, the great, if you like judge a book by its cover, then yeah, I mean, these are cool graphics, but I mean, we're talking about Egyptians and like US history and World War II, and yeah, that's awesome. What OS, what is your thoughts about Linux? I like Linux. So I don't run Linux as a daily driver on anything. So this machine is a MacBook. I prefer that for development. My streaming computer is a Windows machine. I prefer that for streaming because all of my hardware peripherals pretty much only work with Windows. But if I had to choose, and I didn't need something for the hardware, I would probably use Linux. Yeah. Hello, Amy. What a lovely background. Thank you. I thought the background should be more garden oriented. Are there any devs you look up to? John Ressick comes to mind for me. After he stopped maintaining jQuery, he went to work for Khan Academy. Devs that I look up to. Well, I guess if none come to mind, then maybe not. So when I was in the C# world, there's this guy who was one of the creators of GNOME and also the creators of Mono, which was the open source version of .NET before .NET Core existed. I think it was Miguel. I think if I just search for GNOME, well, oh, DuckDuckGo, there we go. If we look at the creator, do they have Miguel de Casa? Yeah. So this dude is awesome. He's done so much open source stuff. And when I was in the C# world, like he was definitely like an idol. As part in terms of JavaScript, I guess not so much. I don't know. It's a good question. Hello, Patrick. Welcome to the stream. Good evening, Jason. Welcome. Patrick is saying, have you ever made a Sudoku application with a random board generator? I have not. I think I've made a Sudoku solver on Code Wars Code Katas. But yeah, Steve says, I like how all coding streams turned into AMAs. It's kind, it's the beginning. People are just joining. We'll answer a bunch of questions and then we'll start coding. That's a good point. Jason is saying Evan Yu is a developer I look up to. I agree. I mean, he's doing great things for open source, and he created Vue, and it's a huge project now. So yeah, Evan Yu is a great dude. Amy is saying, just went back to hear the song. Great job. Thanks, Amy. ATD says, I just think anyone like him and CJ who tried to make education accessible to anyone, anywhere, deserves a lot of praise. I appreciate that. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here. I think, like, lately my streams have just been kind of fun, and I'm building, I guess I haven't been building a lot of stuff lately. It's been a lot of just talking. But I do like to answer questions and share knowledge, and all that good stuff. And I do believe that all the stuff that I'm teaching and you're learning, I think it should be open and anyone should be able to learn, and you shouldn't have to pay money for it. There shouldn't be any barriers, that kind of thing. Yeah. We're going to get through the chat. The number keeps going up. Patrick says, I'd recommend the Armchair Experts if you're looking for a cool podcast. Let's take a look. Armchair Experts podcast. There we go. A podcast that celebrates the messiness of being human. Cool. Can you make a video about React Router DOM? So if you take a look at some of the videos I've done on React, so coding.garden/videos, you can click the React button or type in React. This one in particular, 101 ways to deploy a React website. The first hour of this stream is just me building a React app, and I use a router, mainly because when we're deploying, I show how to get it working with React Router. So you can check out that stream. I've never really done anything like in-depth on React Router, but that one I definitely go into it, so you can check out that stream. Yeah, that's a good point. ATD is saying Windows basically has an embedded Linux distro now. Yeah, so I've tried Ubuntu Subsystem for Linux, and that's pretty sweet. When I tried it, it wasn't possible to launch Windows app from within the Ubuntu terminal. I think they were working on fixing that, but yeah. Everybody has a podcast. They do, but I think it's great. Steve says, I went to Galvanize right as CJ left, so I missed out on him as a teacher. That's unfortunate, but I have a ton of videos you can learn from. Motivation says, I have a code kata for you. If I made a fresh pot of coffee before your stream, and the pot is 12 cups, how much ounces did I drink if I already did drink a quarter of the whole pot? 6 cups. Oh, no, sorry. 2 cups. A quarter of a 12? 2, right? No. Yeah. I don't know. I need to start writing some code. Began is asking, do I have experience with sales? People said it's a bit slower than others, even with great infrastructure. I've never really used. I've only spun up an app, but that's it. I've never built anything big with it. I don't know if I will, because it is very opinionated. I think it was very much inspired by Rails, but this is for JavaScript. But yeah, cool. Steve Candy Pizza says, how to write a question so he sees it on the page. You did it. So this is a chat manager that I built that includes Twitch chat and YouTube chat. So it's all in one place. But I'm slowly acknowledging each message. So newer messages that come in, it takes me a little bit longer to get to. Yeah. I'd love to see you make a digital version of classic board games. Oh yeah, so when Brooks was on the stream, we talked about making chutes and ladders. That would be fun. John says, I like your format. It's very unique. I appreciate that. Is it wrong to create node modules just to make the code clean? So like ESLint? No. I think that's potentially what you're asking. Because you don't want to write a bunch of code, you install packages that do things for you so you don't have like messy code. That's probably okay. I think you do want to be careful about how many packages you install and make sure that you only install ones that you really need. But if you are talking about ESLint, I have created projects where ESLint is the only thing that I installed because I wanted a code formatter and style guide. But yeah, knowledge sharing is key. Hello, terminal. Bagana saying, I think you can dive into anything or any language since your understanding of docs are awesome. Can we see you do something with Go, Python, or PHP? Yes. So I'm working on a stream schedule so that I'll be streaming on a more regular basis and you'll know what I'll be streaming ahead of time. But this is a perfect topic for that. So yeah, if I had to, I think I would choose Go. Mainly because I've done Python before. I did PHP a very long time ago, but I've never written Go. So Go would be fun to learn. Steve loves Go. Cool. I actually work for a software consultancy. So, yeah, I get to work from home pretty often, but I work for them. They get clients. We build projects for them. Mainly business-to-business software. It's 3. Can you make a machine learning app with JavaScript? Eventually. This is another one of those things that a lot of people ask about, and I'd like to get into. It'd be fun to do a collaboration with Coding Train, because he does a lot of machine learning. I know when you get bigger, you'll need a chat moderator, but will also suck because you can't read all of us. It's so true, right? So there's 50 people watching on YouTube, 7 or so people watching on Twitch. The moment it, I guess, even doubles, this becomes very impossible to do. So yes, having a chat moderator that can like flag messages for me to talk about, and also building it into this tool. I've talked about doing some natural language processing. So like, chats that come in that are questions, they'll go to a tab. Chats that come in that are greetings, they'll go to another tab. That kind of thing. Yeah, Coding Train's great. Brooks, hello Brooks. We could make a digital version of a board game that we could play with you all. Yeah. We did make a board game on NoobQuest a while back. This is my break timer again, which means we've been talking for 30 minutes and we've written 0 code. But it's going to happen soon. Very soon. But if you go to my videos website and look at NoobQuest, it's actually this one. It's like one of my only clickbait thumbnails because Tony made it and it's hilarious. You can see it's the Mortal Kombat guys, and each one represents a different front-end framework. Yeah, but this episode was fun because we built... do we link to it? Yep. We built front-end-opoly. So player 1 chooses a pawn. I'm going to choose view. Player 2 will be you all, and you will choose vanilla JavaScript. And then when you click start, you get this this board, and you roll, and the player moves to a various square depending on the roll that they made. And if you land on your own square, you get points. If you land on the other player's square, you lose points. So player 1, roll the die. So the view player landed on JavaScript, they lost points. Player 2, roll the die. They landed on view, so they lost points. You can't go below 0. Player 1, landed on view, 2 points. Player 2, landed on JavaScript, 2 points. And you can just keep playing all day long, and the points will go up and down. So we made this on this stream, and this is one of those streams where Tony was very new to programming, so we went slowly through everything and explained a lot of stuff. But yeah, that was a fun one. This is NoobQuest, build a board game with React. Cool. Join me with Rust. So that's why I didn't choose Rust, because I know you're doing a lot of streams on Rust, so we can differentiate ourselves. Instafluff, thanks for the follow. You all should check out Instafluff if you have not. I watched his stream all day long, and it was super fun. Twitch.tv/Instafluff. Yes. It's super awesome. It's super chill. Instafluff is an amazing human being, and you should check it out. Good morning, Benjamin. Welcome. Go would be cool. I think I would enjoy doing Go. I've looked at it, and I know people have written Go. I am CJ. Do I have aspirations to work for people, Facebook, or any super well-paid jobs? No, my aspiration is to work for myself, potentially do Twitch and YouTube full-time, and some potentially also like some contract work. But I'm done working for companies. The company I work at right now is super cool. It's small. There's only 8 people, but yeah. It's okay. I know it's confusing. So Instafluff, I watched your stream as W3CJ because like I'm new to Twitch. So like I had a personal account, and then I wanted to start streaming on Twitch as well. So I created the Coding Garden account. But yeah, so it's confusing. Yes. All right. I need to start writing some code. Okay. Last question. Rao gets the last question. So I asked this question during the stream with Brooks, but time was fleeting. Any tips on trying to get a remote job with no team experience? I don't have any tips, but it's going to be very difficult. So the issue with being remote is if it's a company that isn't remote first. So there are a lot of companies out there, and I don't know if there's like a list like remote first companies. So remote first companies are companies where the majority of the employees are remote. And what that means is that everyone is super aware that when you're in meetings, you have to be close to the microphone. If you need help, a lot of companies actually have some sort of system where your webcam is on all day long, and it's kind of like you're just sitting next to the person. So if you can find a company like that, that would be ideal, because otherwise you're going to be the odd man out, and you're going to be in remote meetings, and they're going to be talking, and you won't be able to hear them. So that's something to think about. Depending on what you know, Rao, there are different sites for finding jobs. If you know Vue.js, there are, I think it's like vuejobs.org. And this has a remote specific section. So if you go here and you click on remote, these are all the remote positions that are open. Yeah. So, I mean, other than being aware of the type of company and if they're remote first, the other, like, getting a job there is the same as getting a job anywhere else. So you have to practice potentially whiteboarding, practice coding challenges, practice talking about yourself and doing like the soft skills questions. So yeah. All right, let's write some code. So I sent this poll out, and everyone voted on this kata. So we're going to do this one. And for those of you that just tuned in, typically what I do is I go to codewars.com. This has coding problems that range from fairly easy at 8Q all the way up to extremely hard at 1Q. Right now we're going to start at a 7Q, and we'll gradually get harder from there. But this problem is sort array by string length. So write a function that takes an array of strings as an argument and returns a sorted array containing the same strings ordered from shortest to longest. So I like to pull this code down locally. And pull in the function and pull in some basic tests. Well, we'll do it one at a time because that's a little tricky. Yes, and the next one. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Okay. Okay. I might install a linter because this thing has double quotes. I guess I'll leave it. So I'm going to start up Quokka.js. So this is a cool little tool that will actually run your code inside of VS Code. And so right now our function is returning undefined because we haven't done anything yet. So for this, I am going to use, initially, right now, I'm going to use the built-in sort function on the array. But next, after we solve it this way, we might actually implement sort from scratch. So that would be fun. But essentially what we need to do is call the sort method on the array. And we'll need to pass in a comparison function. So in this comparison function, needs to compare the length of the items in the array. So this should, in the comparison function, if A is greater than B. And so when we write this comparison function, A and B are going to be two parameters to it. That's two strings, and we're basically going to be comparing two strings at a time. That's the way the sort method in JavaScript works. So we'll say if A is greater than B, then we will return 1, because that means A comes after B in the sort order. And we want to do A.length, because we're comparing the length of the strings. And otherwise, if A.length is less than B.length, we're going to return -1, because that means A comes before B in the sort order, if we're sorting from least to greatest. And then otherwise, we just return 0, and that means that they're both the same length. So that's our comparison function. If we look up sort on MDN, we can see them talk about it. Array.prototype.sort. And a lot of times you'll see people just call the sort method without passing a comparison function, and that works, but it's really just using the built-in compare of the, what's it called? The character values of the strings here. And you might have seen before, if you try to sort an array of numbers like this, you'll get an interesting result where the larger numbers aren't at the end, and that's because you need a comparison function. And so this describes right here what that comparison function is. So essentially, this function gets called with 2 elements at a time for every element in the array. So let's do it. Basically, we just need to say array.sort. We give it that function. We'll do an arrow function that has A and B. And inside of this function is where we need this logic. And actually, we can just convert my comments into code. So if A.length is greater than B.length, then we're going to return 1. And then, similarly, if A.length is less than B.length, we're going to return -1. Otherwise, we return 0. And so the sort method modifies or changes the array that you call it on. So we're actually changing the sort order of the array itself. I believe if we look here, it says it sorts them in place, which means it's going to change the order of the array. And then the function itself should return the sorted array. Okay, let's see what we get. Did it work? Undefined. Oh, I didn't put return. Return the array. And we got it. So I to beg life. So the left one is what we're returning. The right is what we're expecting. That looks good. For this next one, empty string pizza brains moderately. That looks good too. Empty string pizza brains moderately. Yeah, that works. Cool. So that was fun. Let's see. Do I want to implement my own sort method from scratch? I feel like honestly we should just get moving, because I've been live for over 40 minutes. This is the first one we've solved, and we've got more to solve. I think we'll stop there. Let me know in the chat. Should I implement a sort method from scratch? Let me know. Rust looks so intimidating. It's very different from JavaScript. I agree. Oh, that's a good suggestion, John. So if you have a question, put bang Q in front of your question so that I know it's a question. That's cool. I like that. Bagan is saying, as far as I can see, you love unopinionated frameworks. How do you structure apps on the job? Do you follow any particular pattern? DDD, MVC. Yes. So I do like unopinionated things because it allows me to customize things a little bit more. But at work we do. So our backend is node.js, and We style it in model view controller style. So we have a folder. Well, actually, we do it by feature. So we have a folder, and inside of that folder, we have a controllers file and a model file and a test file and a routes file. And we follow that pattern. For React apps, we follow the folder by feature pattern as well. So you have a folder with the feature name, and inside of it, you have all the components that belong to that feature. A lot of that came from my days with Angular and the John Papa style guide. But yeah, so even though I use unopinionated things, I still have opinions on how things should be structured. There was a message that came in and someone made a really good point. Why don't we just make this a whole lot shorter? So right now we're being very verbose. We have our if statements and we're doing all that good stuff. But what you can do is essentially just turn the difference of the length of the first string and the length of the second string. Because let's just do this. Let's say diff equals a.length minus b.length. And ultimately, we're just going to return diff, but if we log that right here, we can see all the differences that are happening. And ultimately, this comparison function doesn't care if it's -1 or -10. Essentially, if it's negative, it's always going to come before in the sort order. So if we just calculate the difference and return that difference, it should work in the same way. And then our function gets much, much tinier. So we can do this like that. And does it work? I may have gotten the sort order wrong. No, it works. Cool. So that was a good suggestion. I'll figure out who suggested that when I get there. See you later, ATD. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, InstaFluff. If the brick weighs 1 kilogram and plus half of that brick, how many does 2 bricks? 3 kilograms, right? 1.5 times 2? Yeah. Wish it was a middle ground, right between opinionated and unopinionated. Yeah. Brooks is saying, it can be. I made a video introducing Rust on CJ Stream a while ago. This is very true. So if you go to my YouTube channel and take a look at the collaborations section, Brooks, actually, I gave Brooks a stream key and he streamed from my house, from his house directly to my channel. But he did an intro to Rust building a CLI app. So that was pretty cool. You can check that out. Maximum call stack size exceeded. I love opinionated, especially in VCs, because we all know where the stuff is located. And it's a really good point. So if you have something like a Ruby on Rails application and you hire a Ruby on Rails developer, they're going to know where all the files are. It's going to be super familiar to them because that's how they code. Whereas if you hire a Node developer, people do Node in so many different ways. And I mean, you can pretty much get up to speed because it's a whole lot of requiring and exporting. But it does take time for the developer to get used to it. Yeah. Yeah, and I was going to mention on your stream, InstaFluff, that I am W3CJ, but I don't know. I didn't want to be rude. All right, this is my longer break timer. Let's take a quick stretch. If you've been sitting down for a while, maybe try standing up. Cool. It's not too opinionated and not too much abstraction. Yeah. Yeah, someone's asked this before, but I've never done freelancing. The main issue with freelancing, like in the US, is if you're trying to get like a home loan or a car loan, you have to prove your income. And as a freelancer, your income is just from a lot of different clients. You basically have to show them your bank account and the fact that you have an income. And I bought a house recently, so I couldn't really do that. But working at a what do you call it? A consultancy, I'm hired as a full-time employee there. So it's kind of like freelancing because we get all kinds of projects, but I'm protected by the company because I'm a salaried employee. Yeah. Thanks for the YouTube sub, InstaFluff. You might have been the first person where this actually showed up. I just enabled the Streamlabs integrations, and it has a tough time with YouTube stuff happening, so... Raul says, I hope Svelte blows up. I do too. Svelte is super cool. Rails, Laravel style is okay for me. Yes. Hello, Greg. What's up? Negative 45-degree difference between today and tomorrow. Oh, that's so true. Let's look up Denver weather. It's about to get really cold. It was super windy earlier. Oh, wow. It's 37 degrees. I have literally, I stepped outside once today to turn off my, what do you call it? Water hose. And it was 80 degrees today. That's insane. And it is going to snow tomorrow. Wow. Wow. Patrick is saying, have you ever done a 1 or a 2 stream? And I think you're talking about difficulty level. I haven't, but I should. But the thing is, if I choose one of these harder ones, it's going to take me a couple of hours, because a lot of these are like implement the SQL query language, or different things like that. So I haven't, mainly because they're really hard and would take a long time. Laravel really interests me because I enjoyed learning the Node framework Adonis, which they said is literally the JS equivalent to Laravel. Interesting. Very cool. I didn't know there was that comparison, because I've heard of Adonis JS before. Yeah, there we go, DuckDuckGo. You need to be more specific. Adonis JS. Yeah, I've seen it. People have mentioned that I should try it, but I didn't realize it was inspired by Laravel. That's pretty cool. I do tutorials. Are we talking to me? Who we talking about? Oh, okay. I guess you saw my recent videos about feathers. Cool. Do I know how to code in assembly? I know about assembly, and given the computing architecture, I could probably figure it out, because assembly is usually based on the CPU, right? Because CPUs have certain instructions. I don't know. 1Q. There we go. Thanks, Merchan, for the suggestion. A.length minus B.length. Yeah. So, and again, the idea here is this is returning the same thing as these if statements would, but it's kind of all in one go. Terminal says no sort from scratch. That would be its whole own episode. I've thought of, and so like I mentioned, I'm trying to do a stream schedule. I'm going to do data structures and algorithms. So that will be super fun. We can do bubble sort and merge sort and insertion sort and heap sort and all the sorts. That will be good. Sujan agrees. Hello, Sujan. Just read the chat. It says chat. Oh, interesting. Bagan is going to create some Adonis JS courses. Very cool. Eddie is saying, any tips for knowing what type of company to look for? Red flags, yeah. So it comes down to, first, like, research the company. You can look at their Glassdoor. Yeah, so Glassdoor is a site where former employees or current employees can go on there and review companies. A lot of times you can find hints for what you might see in an interview, but companies have ratings on here as well. Find the right job. Can I find the Google Glassdoor? We can just see an example of what one looks like. Google reviews. 2019 best places to work. Yeah, so you can see they have reviews, they have job listings, salaries, and you can get some insight into what the company is like. So I recommend, like, any company that you apply at, definitely look them up here and see what's there. Of course, you can't take everything for face value. You obviously want to meet the people. The company could have changed since reviews were posted here, but it's a good way to learn about them. And I would make sure that you have some sort of on-site interview where you actually get to meet the team that you're going to work with. A lot of companies will actually make sure that you're a good culture fit and make sure that you're a person that they want to work with on a daily basis and that you want to work with on a daily basis. So if a company is just like has hired you because they know that you know how to code, it may not have the right cultural environment. So that's something to look for as well. Hopefully that helps. Yeah. Hello, Instafluff. Yeah. Oh, do I have a YouTube command? I should add one. It's a Coding Garden with CJ on YouTube, but I should add one. Did that work? No. Okay. What drives you to not work for a company? Peace of mind, pension, assurance. It's mainly I just kind of want to do what I want to do. And when you work at a company, you're at the whim of I guess whatever project you're working on, or like what the company's product is. And I kind of just want to do what I want to do. So yeah, not even close. I don't know what you're talking about, Boyan. Yes. You may need a chat manager charm. That would be good. So we have like a little timer embedded here, and it only lets me catch up on the chat like every 15 minutes. Andrew says SQL versus SQL. I usually just say SQL because it's faster, and SQL 2 syllables, SQL 3 syllables. Yeah. I do not use Ruby on Rails. I've fixed some bugs in a Ruby on Rails app at one of my last jobs, but I've never like worked on the Ruby on Rails code on a daily basis. What happened to the IP thing I was coding this morning? It's still there, and I did code it. I'll push it up to GitHub whenever I push the rest of this code up as well. Hello Umps is asking, what would you suggest for people who know how to code but don't want to get a job at a company? You can try to freelance. Like I said, I've never done it before. But there are sites where people post freelance jobs, and you can bid and try to build the projects there. Yeah. So I think it's kind of your only option if you don't want to work at a company, is like start your own business or start freelancing. But yeah. Yeah, flags would be cool. We'll figure that out. I think this weekend I'm going to code on this chat manager a little bit more too. How to not start the next project before finishing the previous? I don't know, because I do that all the time. Doc is saying recreational coding can also be a hobby. That is true. Yeah. So I didn't think about that, but the person who asked the question, like, they know how to code but don't want to get a job at a company. Yeah, you could be a lawyer in your daily life, but then like code in the evenings. Why not? Cool. Let's find another kata to solve. We're an hour in and we got one kata done. Actually, I need to submit it on Code Wars, but I'm gonna submit this one. And actually, I should be able to just return the array directly without doing that. Cool. Here. Sample tests. Attempt. It works, yay. Submit final. Cool. All right, 6Q. Rectangle, and I think this is the one I keep avoiding. It seems very difficult. Yeah, maybe it's not difficult, but it seems difficult. Reverse or rotate. To sum. Find the missing term in an arithmetic progression. Break camel case. Valid credit card number. Ooh, that would be interesting. I actually helped my friend who's getting a computer science degree solve this valid credit card number problem with Java, which was interesting. I'm gonna skip that one. Reverse or rotate. So the input is a string of digits. Cut the string into chunks. A chunk here is a substring of the initial string of size SZ. If a chunk represents an integer, such as the sum of the cubes of its digits is divisible by 2, I don't know what I just read. Reverse that chunk. Otherwise, rotate it to the left by 1 position. Put together these modified chunks and return the result as a string. Whoa now. Okay, so we're given this value and 6. What is this asking for? Cut the string into chunks. Okay, so chunks. A chunk is a substring of the initial string of size SZ. Okay, so we're going to cut the strings into chunks given the size. If a chunk represents an integer such as the sum of the cubes of its digits is divisible by 2. I see. So given this, we split it into chunks of 6. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We then look at that chunk and say we cube each digit and make sure that every single one is divisible by 2. If it is, you reverse it. Otherwise, rotate it to the left by 1 position. So it would be the chunk afterwards. This is super weird. We could figure it out, but that's a challenge right there. Okay, this one's called toSum. Write a function that takes an array of numbers, integers for the tests, and a target number. It should find 2 different items in the array that, when added together, give the target value. The indices of these items should then be returned in a tuple. Index 1, index 2. Takes an array of numbers and a target number. It should find 2 different items in the array that, when added... Okay, sounds easy enough. So you're given this array and the value 4. And you need to return the index of two values when added together will give you that number. So here, the index 0 gives us 1, and the index 2 gives us 3. The sum of 1 and 3 is 4. Cool. That seems sort of difficult. We would essentially maybe look at the numbers one by one. So we add this. We see if it adds up. If it does, we'll return that. Then we add the next one. Okay. This one's called Find the Missing Term in an Arithmetic Progression. An arithmetic progression is defined as one in which there is a constant difference between the consecutive terms of a given series of numbers. Okay, there's a constant difference between the consecutive terms. Okay, you're provided with consecutive elements of an arithmetic progression. There is, however, one hitch. Exactly one term from the original series is missing. Oh, this is kind of like one of those word problems you used to get like in math class or whatever. Like find the missing number in the pattern. Interesting. So you're given this array, and it goes 1, 3, 5, 9, 11. So the difference between 1 and 3 is 2. The difference between 3 and 5 is 2. Then we're missing a number. The difference between 9 and 11 is 2. So we would need to figure out that the next number after this is 7. Cool. That's also interesting. Because basically you would need to find what is the common difference between the majority of the items in the array, and whenever you find one that's not, that's the missing value. Interesting. This one's called break camel case. Complete the solution so that the function will break up camel casing using a space between words. Ooh, so you take a camel case word, put a space in between any word that needs it, and then valid credit card number. So in this kata, you'll implement the Luhn algorithm, which is used to help validate credit card numbers. Given a positive integer of 16 digits, return true if it's a valid credit card number and false if it's not. Whew. Okay, all of these problems are like a mouthful, but these are going to be tricky. It's going to be fun. Let's try it. So I'm going to make a poll and we can vote on which one to solve. Which 6Q? Train. Valid credit card number. Validating credit card numbers is actually, it's pretty interesting. Like, it's basically just an algorithm you run on all of the digits except for the last digit. And if the result of that algorithm equals the last digit, then it's a valid credit card number. And that same algorithm is used for validating other numbers as well. Break camel case. There's that one. Find the missing term in an arithmetic progression. There's that one. To sum. This one's weird, but it'll be interesting. There's my break timer. Take a quick stretch. Ooh. Cool. So that was to sum, and the last one is reverse or rotate. This one's mind-boggling. It's definitely doable, but there's a whole lot of stuff going on. Reverse or rotate. All right. Please vote now. I see the latest chat from Doc who says, does execution time matter for these? Only for certain ones where they have it enabled. I think overall, because when you run the code here, it is running in a container. They do limit it to a certain number of seconds, but the majority of them, as long as you solve it, it's okay. But once you start getting into the harder ones, usually like 5 or 4Q, then execution time does matter, and you can't just have a bunch of nested loops. You have to solve it in a fairly efficient way. Vote now. All right. Trying to get this in the corner. That is where you need to go to vote. I'm gonna catch up on the chat. Ben is saying, shame I was in school and had to use subtitles. Oh, for the stream this morning? Yeah, but hopefully you can listen to me right now. Boyan is saying 1 kilogram plus half of the brick is not 1.5 kilograms. So if the brick is 1 kilogram, half of the brick is half, right? What am I getting wrong? Brooks is saying, I really like artistic programming as hobby programming. Yeah, and that's kind of what Brooks is doing on his streams right now with the nature of code and Rust, which is pretty cool. Obfuscated code contests. Yeah, a lot of times this code kata stream turns into people trying to solve it with a single line of code. But yeah. I just read that, but I don't know what's happening. Okay. Motivation is saying, do you have a goal of points that you want to reach on Code Wars, like 5,000 or 10,000? No, currently I'm at 1,300. I plan to just keep on solving them until I run out, and then find another service where I can start solving them. It makes for good YouTube content. I don't know what I just read. A lot of these are tricky, very tricky. My brain. Yeah, and it's only a 6Q. I think the thing is, like, a lot of times it's worded in a certain way, but when it comes down to the actual solution, it's not that hard. It's just a matter of understanding what they're asking for. The 6Q problem has a 2Q description. Yeah. These sound dangerously like interview questions. Yeah, I mean, and that's why it's good to practice them. I mean, I'm not trying to interview anywhere, but as someone who's out there trying to find a job, these are great to like start off your day, solve a couple, end your day with solving a couple, because when you get into an interview, you're going to be asked very similar questions. Thanks for subscribing, Christopher Vistal. Appreciate it. I'm having flashbacks. Amy is saying, I wish there was a place to see the instructions of the code katas explained by various users, like user submitted explanations. That's a great point, actually. I think if we looked at some of my solve katas, you can, I believe for any given kata, there is like a discussion tab, and the discussion tab will tell you, like, people might say things on there that might make it easier to understand what it's asking for. Yeah, let's look at my solutions. Discuss, yeah. And I don't know if discuss is available before or after you've submitted your solution. But yeah, maybe sometimes in the discussion, people do describe it better. I don't know. But that, I mean, you know what? Maybe we can start it. Maybe we can start codewarsforhumans.com and we can add better explanations for them. Yeah. Annie Apples, hello, says, discrete math, find the missing number in a pattern. Is that discrete math? I think we could figure it out without really knowing much about discrete math, but yeah. Break camel case could be done in a single line with regex. I believe it. Yeah, so there's the poll. If you have not voted, please vote now. I think that happens often, Benjamin. The subtitles say pig timer instead of break timer. Some people have mentioned that before. Doc is saying, I think the two sum, but find all possible pairs in O of N execution gets pretty hard. Yeah, because the solution my mind initially goes to for two sum is n squared. You basically have a nested for loop and compare every value. Yeah. Ryan, hello Ryan, is asking, have you ever worked as a full stack developer for a tech company? And if so, how did you like it? I have, and I work as a full stack developer right now. I like it a lot. I enjoy building all parts of the application. And yeah, so I mean, I build the APIs, I structure the database, I actually do DevOps, I build the front end, I do the styling. And for me, I like to touch all the parts of it. I have been in a position before where I'm only the front end developer or only the back end developer. But I do prefer doing all the things. Yeah, Mirchan is saying doing two sum and less than O of n squared is a little tricky. I believe it. We could, I don't know, maybe if we find an algorithm, you could maybe do it in log of n. I don't know. Motivation is saying, I just read the wiki article on Luhn's algorithm, so that's the one used for checking credit card numbers. And it says it's also used for social security numbers and IMEI serial number checks for cell phones. Yeah. So it's a fairly generic algorithm, but it works for all sorts of things, which is interesting. Boyan is saying, I give up on the brick question. It's 4. But can you explain why, Boyan? Why is it 4? Hello, Spin. First time here, and I love it. That's awesome. Thanks for sticking around. Yeah, so HackerRank is a good one. A lot of companies do use HackerRank as actual like coding challenges to get a job there as well. So you can check it out. It's fairly similar to Code Wars. Hello, Cheddar. Every time I come across a kata that I can't get passing, I assume the tests are broken because I'm pretty sure my code is right. Yeah. That's some good confidence, Cheddar. I admire that. Interesting. All right, let's see the results. Valid credit card number is only winning by 1 vote. I need someone to make it win by at least 2 votes for me to do it. So if you have not voted, please vote now. Where's my chats? There's my chat. Oh, there it goes. Valid credit card number 1. Okay, so this will be fun. We're going to implement Luhn's algorithm for validating a credit card. Cheddar Chad. All right. Yeah, let's get it set up locally. So we need a file called valid credit card number. What's that? Go eat. New file, valid credit card number.js. We got our function called validate that takes in the number. And then, wait, what? Of up to 16 digits. I see. So it doesn't have to be 16 digits because all of the test cases are only passing in like very small numbers. But I think that's because the Luhn algorithm is very generic in that it works for a lot of different things, not just credit card numbers. Okay, so we'll start up Qualcomm. And then we'll read the description because I think that will give us some insight into the Luhn algorithm. Okay, so here's the algorithm. Double every other digit scanning from right to left, starting from the second digit from the right. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take their description and attempt to turn that into code. Another way to think about this is if there are an even number of digits, double every other digit starting with the first. If there are an odd number of digits, double every other digit starting with the second. Okay, but I actually do like this description because we can start from the second to the last, double that one, skip the next one, double the next one. But yeah, okay. If a resulting number is greater than 9, replace it with the sum of its own digits, which is the same as subtracting 9 from it. Okay, that's another comment we can turn into code. Sum all of the final digits. Okay. So basically we're going to do this operation so we get a digit for every digit and we sum all of them together. Finally, take that sum and divide it by 10. If the remainder equals 0, the original credit card number is valid. Okay. All right, so let's try to make some sense of this and turn this into code. So double every other digit scanning from right to left. one thing we'll do, which will make it easy, is we'll turn the number into a string because and then into an array. Actually, we don't have to turn it into an array, but if we turn it into a string, we can get the length of it, and then we can iterate over it to get each individual digit. It's probably going to be the easiest way. There is like a math way of getting each digit, but we'll do it the first way with just turning it into a string. So first step, turn the number into a string. Okay, so we've done that. Now this line, double every other digit. So to do that, we will need to iterate over each digit in the string from right to left. So instead of going from I equals 0 till the end, we'll go from I equals length minus 2 because it mentioned starting from the second digit. So iterate over each digit in the string from length minus 2 to 0. So this is it's a reverse for loop. So instead of going forwards, we're going backwards. Okay, so double every other digit. So we can say if the I was thinking, like, should we compare the index to check to see if we should double it? But I think we could just have like a Boolean value that we flip every time. So we'll say like a Boolean to store if we should double. And this is initialized to true. So it starts off as true. Yes, we're going to double that first number we see. And then in here, we'll say if double is true, then double the number. Else, don't double the number. And I think that covers that comment right there. So if double is true, double the number, and then set double to false. So that will flop it back. The next time we go around, it won't double it. And then we can do this. So if the resulting number is greater than 9, replace it with the sum of its own digits. So we're inside of the for loop. We're looking at each digit. If double is true, we double the number. So we basically need a variable to store the current digit. And that way we can override it with its double if we need to. And then we have this code. If a resulting number is greater than 9, then subtract 9, which is what all of this says. Subtract 9 from it. So if the resulting number is greater than 9, subtract 9 from it. And then this says sum all of the digits. So essentially, as we're going through the for loop, we'll take this resulting number that we found and add it to the sum. So outside of here, we need a place to store the sum. Let's take a quick stretch. A place to store the sum initialized to 0. So it starts off as nothing, and then as we're going through this for loop, we do this logic to figure out what number we're going to add to it, and then here we increase sum by the result. So whatever the result is of doing this logic, we add that onto sum. And then lastly, take the sum and divide it by 0. If the remainder equals 0, the original credit card number is valid. So I think we can really just take that comment and turn it into code. So this is our plan. This is our pseudocode. We're now going to turn it into real code and see what happens. Let's see if there's any chat we need to catch up on. I can vote. Yeah, I didn't want to vote and show my bias. I wanted someone else to do it. Terminal says, just opened a PR for the live chat manager, which is what we're looking at right here. The Twitch background image needed some love. Cool. I'll take a look. Could I use an automated browser with proxies to vote? That voting tool, straw poll that we were using, it prevents spamming, and it makes sure that the IP isn't duplicated. How do you do that multi-line edit? Oh, did I do that? Yeah, I'll show you. So if you're in VS Code, select something. It can be anything, and then if you do Command D, if you're on Windows, if you're on a Mac, I'm on a Mac, Command D. If you're on Windows, you can do Control D, but if you do Command D, that finds the next occurrence. So I just did that, and it found all of the occurrences, and now as I start typing, it's typing in the place of all of those. So you see me do that fairly often, especially because the tests on Code Wars have like this thing, but I don't have a testing thing locally. I'm just console logging the result. But it's Command D or Control D on Windows. Hello, Lily Hazel. That's such a clever way to read chat. I'm trying my best. I'm new to Twitch, and I've been streaming on YouTube for a long time. And there's just a lot of chats that come in, and it's hard to keep track. So I built this thing, and we're slowly improving on it. Okay, so this is a chat that Boyan had earlier. If the brick equals 1 kilogram plus half of that brick, how much do two bricks weigh? So B equals 1 plus 1/2 of B. Oh, I thought the weight of the whole thing was 1 kilogram. That's why I guessed 3. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, Lily Hazel. I wrote in Fluffy's Discord, but wanted to tell you too, I watched you the other day and absolutely loved your branding. I appreciate that. The new Coding Garden logo is a new thing. That's only been around for about a month or so. If you look at some of my older videos, it's a little bit cheesy, but still pretty interesting. What do we search for? Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the earlier code katas, I used to have flowers made out of JavaScript logos, but I like that this logo is... it's nice and clean. You can recognize it at a distance, but yeah, cool. See you later, Amy. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah. Patrick is saying, this reminds me of a practice question where I had to validate if a number was an Armstrong number, and I made the number a string. I don't know what an Armstrong number is. What is an Armstrong number? All single-digit numbers are Armstrong numbers. Wait, what? But what is an Armstrong number? Given a number x, determine whether the given number is an Armstrong number or not. A positive integer of n digits is called an Armstrong number of order n. That still doesn't help. We can figure that out later. Welcome. Oh, and thanks for following, Lily. Appreciate that. Actually, I'm gonna try a ukulele song. We just got a follower. Oh, we just got a follower. Oh, we just got a follower. I wonder who it's from. It's Lily. And Anarchist Megabyte, welcome. And Mal's Depot, welcome. Staying warm, yeah. So I usually turn off the my air conditioning when I'm streaming, or like so I have a central heating unit as well. So I cranked the heat before I started streaming so I could turn it off. But yeah, I think it's around 70 degrees in my house while it's like 30 degrees outside. This one is a 6Q for the validate credit card number. Yeah. Hey, JavaScript Gold, welcome. Definitely recognize it. Yeah, appreciate that. And one thing that I potentially wanted to do was, like, if I cover different technology, you just put that logo or something in between the curly brackets, and it's still kind of on brand, but yeah. Motivation says, I've read farther down in the Luhn's algorithm wiki article, and it says that McDonald's uses Luhn's algorithm for its survey codes. Interesting. So you can't, like, fake a survey code to get a free hamburger or something like that? That's funny. Thank you, Lily. Steven says, it's sad that I know that song as an adult. Like, I feel like, because I was remembering Blue's Clues a few weeks ago, and I looked into it, and when I was watching Blue's Clues, I think I was like in 4th or 5th grade. That show is for like little kids. But yeah, I know maybe older kids watched it too, but I was actually pretty old when I watched Blue Cruise back in the day. Getting some Nick Jr. vibes, yeah. Patrick is saying, I think this is in reference to, oh no, this is Armstrong numbers. Take each digit, raise it to the power of the number of digits, and then sum all of those. If they equal the original number, then it's an Armstrong number. Okay, that's a great definition. Thank you, Patrick. Svetlana, and hello, Svetlana says, chat timer would only let you respond for 5 minutes. Yes, we're almost through though. There's only 10 messages left, and then we'll write the code. Lily is asking, is JS your language of choice, and how long have you been coding? So JavaScript is my language of personal choice and professional choice. I've been programming professionally for about 10 years, programming in general for a little over 15 years. But I really like JavaScript. When I learned programming, I first started with Java and then C and C++. Eventually, my first job, I was doing C#. And all of those languages are statically typed and very rigid. And then when I started to get into JavaScript, I really liked the dynamic nature of it, very similar to Python. And I haven't left since. So I've been doing JavaScript for almost 5 years now. Yeah. JavaScript gold. JavaScript is my language. Sweet. 1 is an Armstrong number of order 1. 10 is an Armstrong number of order 2, etc., etc. Very cool. Boyan is saying, I tried ukulele for the first time a few days ago, was impressed how some of the chords can be played by pressing a single note on a string. Also, press no notes. I don't know what chord that is, but that's a chord. But that's a C. That's some note. That's a little more flat. That's G? Yeah. I too love Blue's Clues. Does anyone know a way to like or learn CSS without wanting to break the computer? I don't have any good suggestions for you. I mean, I think it's very similar to learning JavaScript. My suggestion is get very comfortable with the developer tools, because the developer tools are absolutely your friend. Oh, look at that weird styling. But if you can learn how to interpret this tab here to see like what classes are being applied, and what's overriding what, you can look at the computed tab to see overall how are various styles getting added. Understand the box model, so you have the element, its padding, its border, its margin. If you can master those things, it gets a lot easier to deal with. Because one of the biggest frustrations with CSS is like, why is this property that I'm applying not working? And usually the dev tools can help you figure that out. But yeah. Yeah, Steven is saying, I was very young when I watched Blue's Clues. It makes me wonder, was I like special as a kid? Because I was pretty old when I was watching Blue's Clues. El Barate, hello, it's been a while. Welcome. So you inspired me to get into the world. Into the IT world, information technology, cool. Exactly 1 year ago, I started my career as an app dev, and I love it. Thank you again, CJ. That's awesome, El Barate. Congrats. That's really cool. Retracted messages are not supported. Yeah, so if you sent a message and delete it, I will actually still see it. You're welcome, Lily. 10 and 100 are not Armstrong numbers? Somebody mentioned that they were. Eddie is saying, speaking of branding, the new ending song also grew on me. At first it sounded too slow compared to the previous one, but now I dig it. I appreciate that. Yeah, anyone that's watching till the end, you'll hear the latest outro song. It has similar vibes to the original intro, but it's a bit more grandiose. Yeah. Lily is mentioning there are Udemy courses that are great for learning CSS. Thanks for the follow, the Little Rock. Blue's Clues is a good show. I liked it. Like, you're solving mysteries. I'm pretty sure I had my own clue pad. And, you can draw the clues as you're going throughout the show. This is Merit Sean's solution in Python. Okay, we'll hold on to that. Let's write the code. So basically we we broke down the comments that they left for us, and now we're going to attempt to turn that into code to solve the thing. So let's see if it works. So turn the number into a string. Let's call this like string number, and this is going to be n.toString. So toString is built into JavaScript on any number. You can call that, and it will turn it into a string. So let's log, string number. We can see every time it gets called. So this tool is logging 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 0. So we are turning it into a string. That's a good thing. And actually, let's comment these out so we're only running like one at a time. Okay, so now we need a Boolean to store if we should double, and it should be initialized to true. So if you remember, this is the variable that's going to tell us whether or not we should double the number as we're iterating over the digits of the credit card number. So let double equal true. And I'm making it a let because we'll overwrite it to be a different value inside of the for loop. We then need a place to store the sum. So we'll say let sum equals 0. And again, I'm using a let variable here because we're going to overwrite the sum. Now iterate over each digit in the string from length -2 to 0. So this is where we need a for loop. I'm going to say let I equal string number dot length -2, because -1 would be the last digit, -2 is the second to last digit. And if you remember the comments, it told us that's where we need to start in our iteration. And so we want to go while I is greater than or equal to 0, and we're going to decrement I on each iteration. So we're starting at the end and we're going to the beginning. It's a reverse for loop. And then all of this goes in here. So we need a place to store the current digit. So let's say digit, and this will be a let because we will potentially overwrite it. So digit is string number bracket I. So that's going to give us one individual digit. If we log this, we should be getting 2 and 1. So we're passing in 1, 2, 3. We're skipping the last value because that's what it told us to do, and we're saying 2 and then 1. So we're good there. Now we'll say if double is true, we need to double the number. So we'll say if double digit times equals 2. And so yeah, that will double it. One thing to point out is when we do this, digit is actually a string. So if we log type of digit, it's a string. But JavaScript is nice enough to convert it for us. So when we say digit times equals 2, it's going to turn it into a number because you can really only do multiplication on numbers. So that'll turn it into a number. If double is 2, double the number. So that's what we're doing here. And then set double to false. So basically, the next time around, we don't want to double it. So we'll say double equals false. If a resulting number is greater than 9, subtract 9 from it. Okay, so we'll say if digit is greater than 9, subtract 9 from it. So we'll say digit minus equals 9. So that will subtract 9 from it. And then increase the sum by the result. So that digit value, we then want to add to the sum. This is my break timer. Let's take a quick stretch. Okay. And then increase the sum by the result. So we'll say sum plus equals digit. Now this right here makes me think we should turn the digit into a number first. Because if digit right here is a string and then we compare that against 9, I think weird things might happen. So here's what I'm going to do. When we get that digit out of the number, we'll convert it into a number first. And if it's doubled, we'll double it, set double to false. If it's greater than 9, we'll subtract 9, and then we add it to the sum. I think that's it. So finally, take the sum and divide it by 10. If the remainder equals 0, the original credit card number is valid. So we'll say return sum divided by 10. So if the we want to do mod. So if the remainder of the division is 0, so sum mod 10 is equal to 0, the credit card is valid. Okay, so it's false for that one. False for that one. We got it wrong though. So this says true when we should have gotten false. And the issue is there's only one value in here. So maybe we need to check the length. And if the length is not greater than 1, it's instantly false. Because if the value is 1, then it's not even going to go into our for loop. Or like if the length of it is 1. So let's just add a check at the top. So we'll say if string number dot length is less than 2, return false. Yeah, that should. And so that handles that case. But this is the moment of truth. Do we get true here? We don't. Oh no, something went wrong. So we'll definitely need to debug. And let's see this one. Does that work? We also get false there. Okay. I mean, is it returning right here? No, this code is running. Let's find some other numbers to test with. Let's see. One 714. I don't know if that's going to be true or false though. Okay, let's see where we're going wrong. Let's just log some things. So here, let's just run through this one. So at this point, let's just log string number. We should have the 2121. Okay, and so our for loop should go from 2 up to 1. And so inside of here, let's just log the first value of I. The first value of I should be index 2, 0, 1, 2. So that's right. That's grabbing that index. Then it's 1, then it's 0. Cool. Then let's log what digit we get. So on the first iteration, the digit is 2. Double is true. Double is initialized to true. So we should get in here. Oh, I found it. We're always setting double to false. We want to set double equal to, so if we didn't double, set it to true, so the next time around it does double. That's our error, because otherwise it just didn't double after that. Let's see. So if double is true, double the digit and set double to false. If double, the next time we come around, double will be false. And double will be will be false, so we'll set it to true. So let's just make sure that we basically want to see 2 and 2 logged inside of here, because those are the even number digits. So 2 and 2, not even number, but we start doubling here, skip, and then double the next one. Cool. Let's see what sum we're getting. We're getting 9. Oh, I see. We didn't add the first digit. Okay, or the last digit in the string. I'm just totally ignoring the 1 on the end here. But what we should do is we should initialize sum to be the last digit, because here the sum should be 10, which makes it valid. That's the issue. So we should initialize sum to be a number that is string number at string number dot length minus 1. So we initialize sum to be the last value because we're not using that in our computation. And then after the for loop, that number is included. Okay, so we get true, and we get true, and we get false, and we get false. Sweet. So it's working. Let's rewrite it. We'll remove all of these comments and just take a look at our solution and see how we can clean it up. Oh, what happened there? Okay. Okay, so this is our solution. If the length is less than 2, we just immediately return false because you can't really do anything with something that has a length 1. Actually, maybe we don't do that because now that we're storing the last number in the sum, it should just fail automatically. So now when we only have 1 digit, it still fails. Cool. Well, we'll do that. So let's not do this. Okay. Then we initialize the sum. We iterate backwards, we grab each digit, we do the logic they told us what to do, and then we see if it's divisible by 10. Awesome. Let's submit it, but you can think of other ways to solve this. We could potentially use a reduce because we are reducing the string or like the digits into a sum. It's an interesting sum because there's some special logic inside of it, but we could turn this into a reduce, and we might do that. But let's just submit this on Code Wars and see what it tells us. Sample tests. Sweet. All right, let's catch up on the chat. Oh yeah, and there's Merritt Chan's one-liner. I should rap on the outro song. I believe in you. I'm not a rapper. Ashwin is saying it's really good how you solved a real-world problem by making the chat application, and now are using it for every chat. Yeah. So I mean, someone mentioned it earlier, but a lot of the projects that I work on are just things that I need or that I want to exist. But yeah. Thanks for the follow to Even. Appreciate it. Lily is saying, where are the messages with the red background coming from? They are coming from YouTube. Because I'm streaming to both YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I used to only stream to YouTube, but a couple of, like, maybe a week or two ago, I decided to start streaming both places. Like, there's a much bigger community of live streaming coders on Twitch. Like, I had no idea. So, like, on YouTube, it's me, and there's Coding Train, and I haven't really seen many other people that are doing, like, live coding. And then I went on Twitch, and there's a live coders team, and then, like, there's always people live streaming. Yeah. Something you just learned too, yeah. Lily says, hello, all the YouTube people. Thanks for the follow, Omithra. Boyana is asking, do I have a Scrum Master at my job? What is his role and how do stand-ups look like? So when I started at my company, we were about 30 employees, and we did. So we have a dedicated sales team, we have a dedicated product team, we have our developers, our QA team, and we actually had a dedicated Scrum Master. Typically, the way they had it structured is the Scrum Master was kind of part of the product team. They actually did a lot of like story writing, which isn't necessarily a Scrum Master's job, but they did. But when the company was in that structure, our stand-ups happened every day. They weren't strict about standing up, which I didn't like, but we didn't have to stand up. We kind of just got in a room. We spent 5 to 10 minutes talking about what did we do yesterday, what did we do today, and do we have any blockers? But typically the Scrum Master would make sure that if anybody did have blockers, they would connect them with the right people to overcome those blockers after stand up. The Scrum Master would also run retrospectives. So at the end of a sprint, they would be the one facilitating the meeting that talked about what did we do well, what could we do better. I forget the question. I think those might have been the questions they asked. Usually when I do a retrospective, I like to do start, stop, continue. So what should we start doing that we weren't doing? What should we stop doing that we were doing? And what should we continue doing? So typically the Scrum Master was kind of in charge of facilitating all of that stuff, but it varies by job. And now that my company is a little bit smaller, we actually don't have a Scrum Master anymore. So typically the project manager is the one that's running stand-up, but they ask similar questions. Yeah. Patrick is saying, shouldn't you be decrementing by 2 on the for loop? No, because we still want to add the digits. We want to add every single digit. The trick is we only double every other digit. So that was the purpose of this double variable. But we still need to look at everything. We don't want to decrement by 2. Yeah. Stephen is saying, I cannot express how much your channel has helped me. I have gained a ton of confidence in solving problems in JavaScript. This has really taught me there are many, many ways to solve these. Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of newer developers that I talk to, they actually don't like that there are many different ways to solve things. Like someone who isn't familiar with coding, they just want to know, and maybe they haven't been learning to code for a while. They just want to know the answer, and they were like, "What is the code that will give me the answer?" And that's a hard question to answer because, especially in JavaScript, there are like 100 different ways to do things. So that's kind of what I like to explore on this stream is like, what are all the different ways we can solve something? Talk about the pros and the cons of each one, and then it ultimately comes down to like personal preference. But yeah. Hello, Whipsia Twin. Welcome to the stream. How is it possible to have the input instantly like that? Oh, yes, this. So the fact that my code is running inside of the editor. This is a thing called kata.js. It's really cool. I don't have the pro version, but they do have a pro version which gives you more features, but they have an installer for VS Code, WebStorm, I think that's what it's called, Atom and Sublime. But it's super cool. I'll show you real quick. So if I stop Quokka, yeah. And if you say Quokka start on current file, it will evaluate any console log. So what we're seeing here is this is logging false, false. So it executes this function that returns false, and we're seeing false, false. And that's also what allowed me to do things like log digit. The interesting thing about that, though, is my function's getting called 4 different times. So we're actually seeing the output of this for loop running for 4 different numbers. So that's interesting. The pro version lets you do things like this. Like you can do comment exclamation mark, and that instead of having to console log everywhere, that will just evaluate the current line. But yeah, you need the pro version to do that. And I think they have a free trial, but it's really cool. Loliker is asking, am I using React to build your website? This particular website was built with Vue.js, mainly because I built it like a year ago. And then only a couple weeks ago, I started adding on to it and adding Twitch to it and tweaking some things. But I use all sorts of things. If you look at my YouTube channel, one of the apps I'm working on right now is a Maps app, and that's actually with React instead of Vue. Yeah. Yeah, Svelte or Vue, and also React. So it's funny because I love Vue.js. Vue.js is my favorite front-end framework, but I code in React on a daily basis. But I actually run the Vue.js meetup here in Denver, which is interesting because I don't really get to write much Vue, but I really like Vue. And then recently I started using Svelte, and it's super cool. But yeah. Yeah, so and that's a good point. So I like what Jim is suggesting, and hello, Jim. So basically, to fix my problem, I added an else statement and flipped double. But what he's suggesting is that I essentially need to change double every time. So actually, I can remove some redundant code here. So instead of doing this, I can just say double equals not double, and that should still work because it's basically flipping it back and forth between true and false, and it still works. Cool. Yep. Yeah, and I've been using a lot of Feathers.js. So Feathers is a backend framework. You can check it out at feathersjs.com. It's a backend framework. Well, actually, they have a client-side library as well, but for building real-time applications and REST APIs. It's super cool. It's kind of built on top of Express and gives you like a CRUD API with like one line of code kind of out of the box. It gives you real-time access out of the box. It's pretty sweet. Don't know what that means. Yes, people caught it. Exoneree, you're not setting the double back to true. It took a little bit of debugging, but we figured it out. Yeah, everyone, like they're screaming at me. I should look at the chat more often. Cool. Mirchan is saying, I missed the fact that subtracting 9 is the same thing as summing the digits. That's pretty convenient. Yeah, so that's what they mentioned in their instructions. Finally, no, this one. If a resulting number is greater than 9, replace it with the sum of its own digits, which is the same thing as subtracting 9 from it. That's super cool. And the reason that is because it's never going to be more than a 2-digit number. Yeah. Everyone's got it. I just didn't look at the chat. Benjamin says, it's almost 6 a.m. here in Spain, and I'm feeling sleepy. Been waiting all day for the stream. Good night, good morning. See you later, Ben. Thanks for tuning in. Yes. Is Quokka only for JS? As far as I know. JavaScript. Yeah, rapid JavaScript prototyping. There might exist other things for other languages, but yeah, this one is just for JavaScript. Boyan is saying, if you don't manage to do what you said you were going to do at stand-up, what are the consequences? This really comes down to just how your team works. Typically, if you're in like the Scrum framework, if you want to call it that, you have a sprint, which is usually about 2 weeks, sometimes shorter. Not that great if it's longer, but sometimes it is longer. But in that sprint, at the beginning of the sprint, your team says you're going to commit to X number of things to do. Typically, those are stories that you're committing to. And as a team, you all agree that you can get those things done within the time of the sprint. So it's more about like, what did you commit to at the end of the sprint? And then what are you going to deliver at the end of the sprint versus on a day-to-day basis if you don't get things done that you said you were going to get done. Because it's more about the whole thing rather than on a day-to-day basis. But usually, I mean, if you didn't get it done, you might get linked up with maybe a more senior programmer so you can pair on it. If it's a nice company, there aren't going to be like any consequences. You're not going to be fired for not getting your thing done. Everyone on the team is just going to figure out why that thing didn't get done. And in a good team environment, everyone takes responsibility. So like if there's someone struggling, they make sure to pair with them, or they make sure that they get that person the stuff that they need to get it done. Yeah. And typically you complete all of the things as a team you said you were going to complete. For that sprint. Like you get better as more sprints happen. You get better at realizing how much your team can get done. So yeah, hopefully that helped. You just do it the next day? Yeah, pretty much. So it's like you didn't get it done, you maybe talk about why you didn't get it done, you find the resources you need, and you do get it done. Cool. All right, let's write this with a reduce, because I think we can do that, and that will be fun. So I'm just gonna copy this function. And so basically what's happening here is this for loop is reducing the digits of the number, or like the characters in the string, into a sum. And for this, actually, we'll use reduce write. Reduce write. So reduce write is the reduce function, but it starts at the end of the array and goes to the beginning instead of the beginning and going to the end. So we can use reduce write, and yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to keep this code here, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to say, yeah, I'm going to keep all the code below, but we're going to gradually move it into this reduce. So we'll say in.toString dot reduce write. And so we pass it the callback function. And we'll do some things in there, and then we pass it what does the accumulator start at. And in this case, we're going to start the accumulator at 0. So the sum that we're adding up, we're starting that off at 0, because inside of this reduce, we get access to the thing that we're accumulating, so we'll call that sum. We'll get access to each individual digit, and we get access to the index in the array. So what we can do is we can say if the index I is the last one, is the last index, just add it to sum. Don't do this special logic, because that handles the case where we're just setting the sum to the last number in all of the digits. So we could just say if I is equal to in.length -1, meaning I is the last digit, then we'll just say sum equals the digit. And reduce write starts at the end, so I should start off as the length of the string. Like let's just log it. Oh, and I'm realizing now I can't just directly call reduce write on a string, because that's only a function on arrays, so we'll have to fix that. But I'll try to log I. But what I can do is say array.prototype.reduceWrite.call. So I'm going to invoke the reduceWrite function, and I'm going to use the string as the this value, and then I'll pass the function as the second, like that. Array.prototype.reduceWrite, call it on the string, and then we're passing in the reduce function, and this isn't running. What's happening? 0 is not a function. What am I doing wrong? Reduce write? That's a thing, right? Reduce write is a function. .call is a function. Usually we can pass in a string, like 1, 2, 3. And then, so yeah, the this arg is the first value. Okay, we'll figure that out in a second. One thing we can do, though, is actually just say, turn the string into an array. Like this. So string dot split. And that turns it into an array. Cool. And let's make sure that these are all of the right things. So we have the previous value, which is the accumulator. We have the current value, and then we have the index. Cool. So index here is being logged as I. Ultimately, we need to return the sum every time. And if we, let's comment out this code for now. In this case, we should see I as being the last index in the array, and it's not. It's just 0. Why? Let's look at reduce write. Accumulator, current value, index, and then we have the array. Yeah, so it's saying here, like, the first call index is 3. Let's make sure that this is actually giving us an array. Oh! I need to pass in the empty string. Otherwise, it just has one index. Okay, so that's working. So we're getting the index value. Here we're saying if it's the last index, sum is just equal to the number, and then we return the sum. After that, we pretty much can just copy the logic that we had inside of the for loop. Like, let's comment this out. And so this logic right here. And really just this logic. So all this logic that was in the for loop, this is now going to go inside of our reduce write. So that just goes right there. We still need that, potentially that double variable. So let's say let double equal true. And then we should, before we do anything, we'll just say digit equals number as digit. So that way we're parsing it as a number before we do anything else. And then all of the other logic should be the same. So this is the only thing that's different, is setting the initial sum. We do that, we increment sum, and we return the sum. So ultimately, we want to return if this whole thing divisible by 10 equals 0. So we will do just that. So we'll do that, and we need to return this. There we go. So we have a reduce write. It took us a while to get there. This code isn't running, though. If I equals in dot length -1, that is never running. That's not a good thing. If we look at I, so I equals 2. Is it just length? Because in our example here, the length is 3, so 0, 1, 2. And if I is equal to n, what is n.length? Undefined. Oh, because n it is a number. Okay, we should probably just store this in a variable. I know we could use the array as a second parameter, but let's say the digits equals this thing, and then we have the digits here, and then we can say digits.length -1. There we go. So now we have a reduce, right? So that one's false, that one's false, that one is false, and that one's false too. We messed up. So let's take a look at the case where it's true. Again, we're gonna log each one. Oh, I know why. So now our double our double our double is off. Our double actually needs to start as false because on the first iteration we're looking at the last value. And so we look at the last value, now it's true, and then it does the thing. Well, that didn't fix it. Yeah, digit is never greater than 9. Oh, we don't want to increment sum by digit. Actually, I don't need to check this at all. So the last digit in the array is just going to be added to the sum. I think that's what did it. Okay, so this was a little confusing, but now our code actually got a lot simpler. And now we don't actually have to look at the index anymore. So we convert the digit into a number. We start double off as false because we know we're going to be looking at the last value, and we don't want to double when we're on the last value because we just want the digit itself. And then we start doubling. So that does it. Very cool. Took us a long time to get there, but we got it. Firing someone for missing an estimate is the quickest way to have everything way overestimated. Exactly. So like if you have your developers like scared of like not doing something in time, they're just going to estimate it as like twice as much as what it would actually take. Hello, Kaizen. Welcome to the stream. Yeah. Motivation is saying, where's Alka when you need a one-liner of Luhn's algorithm? How did Alka get so good at JavaScript hacks? Alka just codes a lot of things. I don't know. Kaizen codes. OG, Original Gardener. Welcome. Boyan is saying, that whole agile thing looks like additional pressure on the employees for me. It really comes down to how the team rolls it all out, because at larger organizations, I've seen this happen, like in large enterprises, where typically they can't move as fast as agile would usually requires. They can't be as agile. It really just turns into a way of like micromanaging your employees. But if you do it right, it won't be like that. So yeah, we don't use Kanban. We do use a Scrum board. We use Kanban when requirements are changing frequently. Yeah, so I've used Kanban in the past, and it was a resource, a research project. The Kanban is all about like managing work in progress, and so it was a research project. So requirements were changing, and they would want new things, and maybe they said that was a higher priority than other things. So we had our backlog, and that was constantly shifting around in terms of priority. But anytime something moved into working, it couldn't be moved out of there. So it's essentially, it's like a Scrum board, but instead of having sprints, you just have an ongoing backlog, and you're just seeing things move across the board. Yeah. Yeah. I agree, Pijo. The success of Agile feels like it depends on good management and product, not abusing the system. Absolutely. Thanks for the follow, Roosters. Welcome to the stream. Is that just a board with the stickers? What do you mean? I don't know what you're asking. Yeah, Pijo. Yeah, you got it, Pijo. Or like setting weird goals for your Scrum team, like focusing on velocity and such. Cass is asking, what's a code war kata? So codewars.com is a website where they have tons and tons of user-submitted coding problems, and each coding problem is known as a kata. It starts at fairly easy at an 8Q, and it gets gradually harder all the way up to a 1Q. Right now we're solving a 6Q, which was not too hard, but decently hard, and we validated a credit card number with this code here. It's probably like LeetCode. I haven't used LeetCode. Let's see. The world's leading online programming place. Explore. Yeah. I mean, the thing I like about Code Wars is it's not exactly focused on hiring, like HackerRank or anything like that. It really is just for you to practice. And there's tons and tons of problems to choose from. Thanks for the sub, baby Bakitbek Tekitbekov. Welcome. Picho is asking, have I ever done a 1Q? I haven't. I've been mentioning that I want to do a dedicated longer stream, and also I mentioned that I'm trying to plan my upcoming streams. So I may in the future, like a month from now, plan to solve a 1Q. It'll take a couple of hours potentially. Like if you look at some of these 1Qs, they are super intense. Yeah, like build a compiler, build a functional SQL interpreter, become immortal. that one's, I don't know, it's probably not that, but these 1Qs are extremely hard. But yeah, it would be fun to just try to sit down and solve one day. Yeah. Let's catch up over here. Patrick is asking, is there any way to style your hair so that it grows in a way to have a man bun? No, my hair is just long. So if I take it out of the man bun, it's like down to here. So I've just been growing my hair for like over a year now. Billion is saying, God, that looks so useful. I usually do it in Trello. Yeah, and you can use Trello to do Kanban. I've only worked one place where they had a physical Kanban board with actual like Post-it notes. Majority of the time we're using Jira or Trello to manage projects. Pijo is saying, sprints/Scrum are nice to have objectives and feel like there is a target end line. But Kanban makes it feel like we're all able to focus on smaller parts at a single time. Yeah, it's managing work in progress, it's continuous flow. And I mean, the idea of breaking things down into stories in Agile is like at any given time, you have like a working product, because like once that feature gets delivered, people can use it. Yeah. So there are solutions, and you usually can see the solutions after you submit your solution. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this one for validating a credit card. I could definitely try to turn this into a one-liner. I'm going to keep it a little bit verbose for now. But once we've submitted it and we've gotten it right, you can actually see solutions from other people. And you can see down there's that unlock solutions button. I believe if you click that button before you've solved it, you can see other people's solutions, but you won't get the points for solving it afterwards. But yeah, so you can see how other people solve it. Usually they're categorized by like best practices. And so this is interesting. I didn't solve it this way, and I mentioned that I could. So to get each digit of the credit card number, I actually turned turn the number into a string so that way I could index into it. But this person is just using maths to get each digit in the number. Because essentially, if you mod by 10, you're going to get the remainder of the division by 10, which is the last digit in the number. So instead of converting it to an array, they're using maths to get each individual digit and then do the same checking that we were doing. This is a very similar solution, except they're using bitwise operators, which I still don't understand. But they're shifting the digit by 1 bit or something. I'm not going to pretend like I understand what that is. We need to set aside some time for CJ to learn bit shifting. This is interesting. They broke it down into a bunch of different functions. Yeah, so as you can see, you can look at solutions. If you unlock solutions, you don't get the points, but you can still see how other people solve it. You should validate your own credit card number just to be sure. You're right, Patrick. Let me get my wallet out. No. Imwav, hello, Imwav is asking, would you use it to practice for interviews? I think it's a great tool for practicing for interviews. So I used to teach at a coding school, and we would actually, when we were preparing the students for interviews, we would pick problems from here to do as whiteboarding challenges. So, I mean, even though, I mean, these are like algorithmic challenges, you typically have to write some JavaScript to do it. We would pick one and have them try to solve it on the whiteboard. And we'd also pair them up and they would practice solving them on the whiteboard. So it's definitely really good practice for just getting good at solving JavaScript problems. Yeah. If you could validate expiration date and CV2 on screen as well, that would be great. Thanks. Oh, for the credit card for my credit card that I enter in? Oh, there we go. Kevin's got it. This is the Stripe testing credit card number. Eddie is saying some devs have nightmares of the never-ending stream of backlog tickets. Yeah, it's a real thing. Thanks for the follow, MWave. It's just like plus equals, but for bit shift. Oh, I closed it, but I see. So the less than equal sign. Yeah, interesting. Bit shifting isn't too hard, just take some understanding of binary. Yeah, that was my initial thought earlier. Like, if you break it down and you convert that decimal number into binary, bit shifting is just shifting the ones and zeros around. But I don't really think in binary, so... thanks for the follow, Super Fluffy Punch. Welcome. And Cass, welcome. Yeah, if you've ever used the Stripe API, this is typically the number you use when you're testing a credit card. And this technically is valid. Yeah, let's actually throw it into our function. Let's do this. Log validate that. It's a valid credit card. Cool. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. Stripe has a whole page of testing credit card numbers. Testing card numbers. Not that. Testing. Oh, here they are. So this is an example of a MasterCard. Will it work? Validate. True. Cool. And it should work. When you submit your solution on Code Wars, it actually runs it against a lot of different test cases that you can't see. So yeah, cool. All right, that was a 6Q. I've been streaming for 2 hours. I'm gonna take a 7-minute break, and then when I come back, we'll do a 5. Actually, sorry, we'll choose the 5Q, and I'll let you vote on it while I'm gone. But then I'm gonna take a break. So let's choose a 5Q. Josephus. Status. Let's sort by katas I have not trained on. And we'll do most completed. I don't want to do this one. This one always comes up, the directions reduction. And anything to do with like visual squares of finding the, yeah, I could probably figure out. It just scares me. Primes and numbers. What's a perfect power anyways? My smallest code interpreter. Oh. I don't like that it has a curse word in it, but building a code interpreter would be interesting. We'll see. Longest common subsequence. All right, let's find one to do. Primes and numbers. Given a positive number n greater than 1, find the prime factor decomposition of n. The result will be a string with the following form. Whoa. With p of I in increasing order and n of I empty if n of I is 1. Weird. Okay, so first of all, prime factor decomposition. That's what we would have to figure out. Easy enough. Yeah, so I think the formatting is weird, but basically what they want us to say is like 2 raised to the power of 5 times 7 raised to the power of 2 of 11. We just have to format it in an interesting way. That's my break timer. Let's take a stretch. So if we can figure out prime factor decomposition, we should be able to format it that way. It's gonna be tricky, but yeah. What's a perfect power anyways? A perfect power is a classification of positive integers. In mathematics, a perfect power is a positive integer that can be expressed as an integer power of another positive integer. Okay. More formally, n is a perfect power if there exists natural numbers m greater than 1 and k greater than 1 such that m to the k power equals n. I'm not going to pretend like I understood that. It'll take a few more times before I get it. Let's see an example. Okay, so for a perfect power, there might be several pairs. For example, 81 equals 3 to the 4th power, which equals n 9 squared. So 3, 4, and 9, 2 are valid solutions. Okay. Okay. So the tests take care of this. So if it is a perfect power, return any pair that proves it. So that's good. We don't have to figure out all of the pairs. If we return at least one, the test will still pass. So we have a function is perfect power given a number, and we need to return the array 2, 2 because 2 raised to the power of 2 is 4. Given the number 9, we need to return an array with 3 and 2 because 3 raised to the power of 2 is 9. Given the number 5, we return null because 5 isn't a perfect number. Sounds doable. All right. My smallest code interpreter. If you haven't heard of this coding language, BrainF, it's actually super interesting. It's a coding language that is just characters. So you have less than and greater than and pluses and minus and periods and brackets, and it looks super weird, but it actually is a valid programming language. We want to create an interpreter for that language, which will support the following instructions. The machine memory or data should behave like a potentially infinite array of bytes, initialized to 0. Increment the data pointer. Decrement the data pointer. Okay, so what's the output of this? So the function will take in input, the program code, a string with a sequence of machine instructions. The program input, a string, eventually empty, that will be interpreted as an array of bytes using each character's ASCII code and will be consumed by the comma instruction and will return the output of the interpreted code. It's too much. It's too much for right now. Sorry, maybe another day. Longest common subsequence. So write a function called LCS that accepts 2 sequences and returns the longest subsequence common to the passed-in sequences. Cool. This is like a really common interview problem. Subsequence is different from a substring. The terms of a subsequence need to be consecutive terms of the original sequence. So given ABCDF, ABC, given these two values, ABCDF and ABC, the longest common one is ABC. Given ABCDF and ACF, that returns ACF. So that's tricky. So it's because they don't need to be consecutive terms. They just have to be in the same order in the original string. That's tricky. All right, and then what's this one? Josephus permutation. This problem takes its name by arguably the most important event in the life of the ancient historian Josephus. According to his tale, he and his 40 soldiers were trapped in a cave by the Romans during a siege. I just want to see what we need to do. So we get an initial sequence, and then, so for example, with n equals 7 and k equals 3. So with 3, I think is the value that comes out of it. So n equals 7, we have an array of length 7. I guess on the next iteration, the 3 is removed and goes into the result. Then 6, then 2. Okay, I don't understand it, but if you all vote for that one, we'll figure it out. Vote for 5Q. This is a 5Q, right? Yeah. Primes and numbers. These are all very difficult. They're probably going to take me a while to solve, but that's okay. What's a perfect power anyways? Longest common subsequence. Josephus permutation. I bet you're all going to vote for that one because I don't know what it even is asking me to do. We'll figure it out, though. Okay, vote now. I'm going to take a, what do you call it? A break. I'm going to take a break. You can see my mind is fading. But I'm going to take a 7-minute break while I'm away. Please vote for which one I should solve. Yeah, and Cass mentioned longest common subsequence. They solved that on their stream a few days ago. That's pretty sweet. Cool. So I'll leave this open while I'm gone. There you go. You're voting for the ones that I'm going to have to figure out. Thanks for following Ideas at Random. It is. Longest common subsequence. Everyone's saying longest common subsequence. Here goes my brain again, Majestic Eye. Yeah, these are getting super tricky. Imwave is saying, I've done this one. Yeah. Longest common subsequence, please. Is that what you're voting for? Oh, yeah. Okay, that's the majority of the votes. We'll figure it out. It's a good one. When a programmer reads history, but what does it do? That's exactly what I did right here. It was like, okay, that's a whole lot of text, but what does it do? Hello, Angel. Harder problem means more CJ. It's true. But the longer I do this, the fuzzier my brain gets, and the longer it takes. The other messages are from YouTube, so I'm streaming on YouTube as well. Yeah. Hardest looking one is LCS at the first glance. Longest common subsequence. Yeah, it's gonna be. I always have a hard time figuring out like subsequences, especially this one because it doesn't have to be consecutive. That's gonna be tricky. Yeah. All right. Good luck, Patrick. Have a wonderful night. This is why I stick to web development. This stuff breaks my brain. Yeah, and I've talked about it before. Like, on a day-to-day basis, like, how often do you need to find the longest common subsequence when you're building a web app? Not very often, but solving problems like this does help you recognize patterns and different things that you can reuse when you're not dealing with problems like this. But yeah, okay, so I'll leave this open. Vote while I'm away. I'm gonna take a 7-minute break, and then I'll be back to probably solve longest common subsequence. All right, see you soon. Hello, I'm back. Looks like longest common subsequence is still the winner. Thanks for the follow, Elabulmex. Welcome. No, I wanted to leave the poll up so that if anybody new joined, they could do the poll. No, I did it on purpose. Just like that, as mysteriously as he arrived, he was gone. Hey, calm down, everyone. I'm still streaming. I just took a quick break, took a stretch. Come on, everyone. I do live in a state where those things are legal, but yeah. I potentially might start a separate channel with totally different branding. I don't know. Yes, this is true. I live in Denver. Cool. All right. So everyone has voted for longest common subsequence. It's gonna be tricky. Let's watch CJ sweat. Yeah, we'll close all these other ones. We need to get you... Yeah, so the main thing I'm worried about with music is just having something where I won't get a copyright violation. Pretty much every time I played music, I got a YouTube copyright violation. There are some real royalty-free stuff out there, but I just avoid it so I don't have to deal with that. I think this is the naive solution. I'm curious if they have a time limit on... like it must finish within 6 seconds, because if they do, then you can't do like seriously nested loops or anything like that. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep the Twitch chat like right here so people know that it's live, because I'm gonna be very focused while I'm trying to figure out this solution. But you'll see the chats rolling in, and I may or may not respond to them. That's true. I could potentially use the YouTube audio library, but I don't know. Again, I just try to avoid it. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do, Cass, is just naive approach, and then we'll try to make it a little bit better. So let's do it. We need to make a file locally. There's that. New file, longest common subsequence.js. There's that. And some very simple examples. But let's grab these other ones as well. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. So this should just be a console log. And this should be that. And we'll have a console.log here. And close on the end. All right. If we start up Quokka, my function is currently returning undefined. Let's handle the simplest case, I guess. I don't know. We'll write some pseudocode and try to work through this. Okay, so and the one tricky thing about this is a subsequence doesn't have to be consecutive. So like in this example here, this one, where A, B, C, D, E, F, and you're checking to see if there's a common subsequence with this, A, C, F is a valid subsequence, even though it's not in order in the first string. So yeah. Okay, what else do we need to know? Both arguments will be strings. Return value must be a string. Return an empty string if there exists no common subsequence. Both arguments will have one or more characters. A test will only have a single longest common subsequence. Don't worry about such cases as this, which would have two possible longest common subsequences. Okay, so there's always only going to be one. Wikipedia has an explanation of the two properties that can be used to solve the problem. Is it cheating if I read these articles? Let me know right now. Meritchan is saying, I think you should take a look at least the Google image results for LCS. I came across a very elegant solution. Cass says no. I think Cass is the one that mentioned they've solved this before. Let's look at these things. Second property. Okay. Suppose that two sequences both end in the same element. To find their LCS, shorten each sequence by removing the last element. Find the LCS of the shortened sequences, and to that, LCS append the removed element. Ooh, is this like a recursive solution? Interesting. So for example, there are two sequences having the same element. A and A, I think is what we're searching for. Remove the same last element. Repeat the procedure until you find no common last element. The removed sequence will be A and A. Yeah, so we remove A, they match. We remove N, we remove N, it matches. Remove A and A, remove T and N, it doesn't matches. So right now, A and A is our sequence. Now we consider BAN and AT, so that's the first part. Hello, terminal. Switching to Twitch because there's lower latency. Cool. So after we compared that, we're now comparing BAN and AT. The last of these two sequences by inspection is just A. Because we pop T and N, they don't match. We pop A and A, that does match. Now we have a sequence of 1, and there's no more characters. Cool. Append the removed element. Oh, this is this is cool. So now we add A back, and that gives us the LCS. Wow, this is really cool. This is some cool pseudocode. I could turn this into a solution. Absolutely. In general, for any sequences x and y of length n and m, if we denote their elements and their prefixes, then we can say that. Okay. Second property. Suppose the two sequences x and y do not end in the same symbol. Then LCS of x and y is the longer of the two sequences of minus the last character, right? So we would compare G and K, I believe. So now we compare the wait. Trying to think if that, yeah, I think it would make sense to drop those two characters because even if we're looking for a subsequence that isn't continuous, if the last character doesn't match, it's not going to be part of that longest common subsequence. Okay, I'm actually going to go with this pseudocode right here. This makes a whole lot of sense. Feels right. Filter the first one, then just compare the two strings. So filter the first one based on the characters of not in the second one. Is that a possibility? I'll look into that second. All right, let's try to turn this into pseudocode though. I mean, let's turn it into code. So remove the same last element. And I guess we would want to okay, so let's say this. We have a place to store the common sequence. So this is just going to be a string. It starts off as empty, and then as we start iterating, we'll add to it if we find something in common. Okay, so remove the same last element. Repeat the procedure until you find no common last element. So we're going to iterate from the end of y, I guess, to the beginning of y, right? And like in this case, so we remove f. F is the now in our subsequence. We look at C and E, not common, so we drop that. We look at C and D. Okay, so I think are we always comparing the one on the right to the one on the left? So basically we compare each until we find something in common. I got rid of that comment. Let me add that back. Repeat the procedure until you find no common last element. The removed sequence will be A and A. Yeah, so in the case of this, we just have F. Now, and then we would take a look at A, B, C, D, E, and AC. right? Now I'm confused. The LCS of these last two sequences is by inspection A. Let's look back at the Wikipedia article. Remove the same last element. I should be trying both sides. Is that in reference to? Because I'm not sure if. Because like I start with the second, like the one on the right, we compare, then it doesn't match. So, am I iterating over the one on the left? I think that's what you're talking about. Kaisen says, am I the only one who needs to read pseudocode myself before I get it and have no clue if someone else reads it? Probably not. A lot of these things take time. Okay, I don't know if I understand that correctly though, because like in the case of these two, F and F the same, perfect. Then C and E. Do we need to look at like what if we drop the E, drop the DE, compare it, or do we look at it? Yeah, like I don't know. Okay, remove the last element. So that's going to remove A and A. Repeat the procedure until you find no common last element. So that's going to basically give us that. The sequences now under consideration are BAN and AT. This step right here. How, like if we compare T and N, they're not the same. We compare A and A, they are the same. But the thing that I'm running into is, let's take a quick stretch. If you have a scenario like this, like I don't want to drop the C, but there's two characters I have to get through until I find the C. And Meritron is saying you need to consider both properties. Okay. I'm going to read this Wikipedia article a little more. Is it fun to watch me like not understand something? I feel like the banana example is from a different question. It was linked to by the kata itself. Let's look at the second property. See if I can deduce or figure that out a little bit more. Suppose that the two sequences X and Y do not end in the same symbol. This is the scenario that we're talking about because we would come down to comparing AC with ABCDE. Okay. Then the LCS of X and Y is the longer of the two sequences. It's okay, Rich. Thanks for suggesting. Hello, Anton. Welcome. Okay. The LCS of these two sequences either ends with a G or does not. Case 1, the LCS ends with a G. Then it cannot end with a K. Thus, it does not hurt to remove the K from the sequence Y. Okay. If K were in the LCS, it would be its last character. As a consequence, K is not in the LCS. Case 2, the LCS does not end with a G. Then it does not hurt to remove the G. Yeah, and this is what we're trying to figure out. Which of the two subsequences, or of the two things we're comparing, do we discount? Because in this comparison, we essentially need to discount the D and E so that we can get to the C. Those two last LCS are both common subsequences to X and Y. Thus is the value is the longest sequence. You know what? Let's solve it for banana and Atana, like, because that kind of makes sense to me a little bit more than the others, and then we'll figure it out from there. So we're comparing banana and Tana. Let's just get this going, because the subsequence here is going to be A and A. Okay. Remove the same last element. So I'm going to do a... Could I do this recursive? Should I try to do it recursively or with a loop? But if we say a place to store the common sequence, so we'll just say like let sequence equals the empty string. Remove the same last element. We can kind of just hard code it. So like we'll say, well, actually we could, excuse me. We'll say like last x equals x at x.length -1, and last y is y at y.length -1. So remove the same last element. And so really we need to do the comparison. If last x is equal to last y, then we append to the sequence. So we'll say sequence plus equals last x. So this is this. Remove the same last element. Repeat the procedure until you find no common last element. Okay, so this is essentially what needs to be in a loop. And then it's like else break, basically, if we're in a loop, because if it didn't equal, then we're done, and now sequence has the current common one. And really we can say x equals x dot substring. I think you can do slice with 0 and -1. That will remove the last value. And y equals y dot slice. Let's just double check that. So if I take a string like wow and say slice with 0, -1, that's going to remove the last character. Okay. So let's put this in a loop. And I mean, technically this could be like a infinite loop, because eventually we're going to break out of it. Yeah, I don't know. This is getting weird, but we're going to do it. So we'll say while x or y. So if x or y has a value, keep doing this. But once we get here, we're going to break out. And then we can just log the sequence. And that does give us A and A. So that's a good thing. And now the sequences under consideration are BAN and AT. The LCS of these last two sequences is by inspection A. Yeah, by inspection, but we're writing a computer program. We can't just inspect it. So append the removed element. Wait. You know what? I mean, can I just turn this into a recursive solution? So really, we need to return LCS of now x and y plus sequence. Stack Overflow. We need like a condition. So no, that's not gonna work. So we're at this piece here. Yeah, if we look at BAN and AT, so really, I mean, I think our condition needs a bit more work. So if x or y is a thing, and So if X is not the empty string or Y is not the empty string, keep doing this. And this same thing, but if any one of them is if either one of them is totally empty, then that means we need to stop. We need to stop looping. I think that's where I'm going with this. Okay. Let me catch up on any chats. Thanks for following on Twitch, Kaizen. That's great. OSU, hello, Debopam, welcome. Kaizen made it. Anton is saying, I'm glad I finally caught your stream live. Had to get up really early for school. That's cool. You can learn some codes. Oh, length equals 0? I think that's a good way to go down. So, if x.length and y.length, hey, that'll do it. So if both of them have something in them, then do this thing. Otherwise, don't. Will that get rid of the? Yeah, no, we still have maximum call stack size exceeded. Oh, we need to. We have a statement right here. I mean, like if x.length equals 0 or y.length is equal to 0, we just return the sequence, like return an empty string, basically. But this is never happening. I mean, should maybe I shouldn't try to do it recursively. But Jan, this will take a while. It's going to take a while. I'm telling you, like, this is a hard one. It's a very hard one. So that's not good. The thing is, at this point, we have found the first part of the common subsequence, which is the last part of the word. But now we're running into the situation where we need to compare BAN and AT. Oh, I need to slice it here too, right? Well, in JavaScript, this is actually falsy. So if length is 0, then it's technically false. But if last x is equal to last y, increment it. 0 is actually a falsy value. So if the last characters don't match, we need to remove one of them, but which one? Because like we could basically always do this. And that's actually going to make them shorter. But if we log x and y after this, we have BA and A. Well, I do need the else because I basically want to keep looking at the last character, right? Because I don't want to break until I've reached something that doesn't equal or doesn't match. And I always want to do this. Right? Yeah, something like that. I'll show you a quick example, Rich. So JavaScript is weird, but so like if 0 console.log, what's up? It doesn't log anything. So in JavaScript, if you do this, the 0 is considered falsy. So this is like if false, do this thing, so it won't do that thing. So what this is saying, where's my code? Is if x.length has a value and y.length has a value, I mean, technically we could do x.length is greater than 0 and y.length is greater than 0, but it should do the same thing. I mean, this, I think at this point it would actually work with like a recursive solution though. So like of x and y plus sequence. Cannot read property length of undefined. Maximum call stack size succeeded. It's not gonna work. Okay. I think the thing is I need to do this again though, right? But maybe not recursively. It's okay, Rich. JavaScript is weird. Append the remove element. All right. Merchan mentioned earlier that I should search Google for something. Yeah. So let's just look at longest common sub sequence. Let's see what we can find on the web. It's gonna help us. I mean, we were just at this Wikipedia article. Does it have some sort of like pseudocode? Manaspaul is saying, here's the GitHub repo about the grid sum. Oh, okay. If you share it on Discord, I'll take a look later on after the stream. I'm trying to figure out this problem. I think at this point, if this was an interview question, I would have been kicked out of the interview. The thing is, like, honestly, if I hadn't had read this, I think I would have just tried like a nested loop solution. Honestly. Maybe I should just solve it that way. Doc says, MP hard is MP hard. Like, I think, I mean, we could do it with like some nested loops. It would be highly inefficient, but basically we would compare everything against everything else. I don't know. I kind of want to go down this path though. Let's go back to our search. Geeks for geeks. Cass is saying, consider if one of the characters in your non-matching case occurs somewhere closer to the front of the other string. Therefore, it's part of the LCS. Right. So I can't just get rid of it like that. Have a good night, Brooks. Thanks for tuning in. So consider if one of the characters in your non-matching case occurs somewhere closer to the front of the string. I think, yeah, so that's why I can't just like remove it right here, because I could potentially need to compare that with something earlier in the string. Method of 4 Russians and a net calling optimization is about the point I know about and just read the papers. Ah. Yeah, so I can't just get rid of it. So I gotta figure something else out. Let's read this Geeks for Geeks page. We have discussed the overlapping subproblems and optimal substructure properties in set 1 and set 2. All right. If the last characters of both sequences match, then I don't understand this notation. So X, so this is the string itself without the last character, and this is the string itself without the last character. Does this notation mean like a recursive call? sequence plus the strings missing the last two characters. Okay. If the last characters of both sequences do not match, that's the scenario that we're in right now. Then we got some really weird notation. Consider the input strings AGGTAB and GXTXY AYB. Last characters match for the strings. Cool. So the length of LCS can be written as 1 plus the thing itself without the last two characters. Okay, I'm following so far. The last characters do not match for the string, so the length of the LCS can be written as string itself, comma, the string itself equals the maximum of the string itself and okay, so this is what I was missing. Basically, you need to compare both with it and without it. So because those two don't match, we need to compare the string, the first string missing the last character with the full second string. And we also need to do the first string missing, well, with the last character and the second one missing the last character. And then the maximum subsequence out of those two is what you append to the full sequence. I think that's the key. I think we've just unlocked something. Terminal says, these katas are always so hard for me. Cass says, it would be instructive to generate and interpret the table printed there. Yes. So like this is the first string stretched across, and this is the second string stretched across, and we're basically seeing where they match up. Like where A is A, like B is B, A is A, T is T, G is G. And then it goes in that order. But I think this right here, basically, we could do the recursive call, but then we choose the one with the longer length. Yeah. That table looks like a thief knapsack dynamic programming sort of problem. Couldn't you use a filter to remove any characters not matching the secondary string? Yeah? Is that the naive solution? Hey, there's Phil. Hello, Shaggy. Welcome to the stream. Couldn't you use a filter to remove any characters not matching the secondary string? Yes. So we filter A for anything that's not in AB, that is in ABC. That's too easy, right? Let me just do that really quick. So if we return x.filter, and we get each individual letter, and we want, so if y, well, no, it's not if it just contains it, because it could be that that character occurs later in the string. Because you could do something like y includes L. We need to turn these into arrays. Like, wait, is that even running? It's returning nothing. But I think the thing about this is, so like, if this character occurs later, we're not checking to see if it occurs afterwards. Yeah. See you later, Kaizen. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, we got tons of emotes in the chat. Nice. Hello, furry energy. Yeah, filtering doesn't help solve the problem because it doesn't address either of the properties. Cool. Okay, so that was a fun detour, but this little trick right here, I like this because I think this is how. So Cass, will you let me know, like, can this be solved recursively? I think it can, right? Because we've solved right here the base problem, but then it's just a matter of applying it to the substrings, right? Yeah. Okay. Cass says yes. I think we're gonna go that route. So. And this isn't really a while loop. Because really, I mean, I think instead of this being a while loop, I mean, I think this could just be part of the recursive solution. So we put that back there. Yeah, and then if x.length, if not x.length or not y.length, you just return the empty string. That's like, I think this is our base case. So if either of the strings are empty, return nothing. And then we get into the recursive solution here. So we grab the last characters of both. If they match, we add it to the sequence. We then remove the last characters, and then we need to call it again with just x and y. So we need to return sequence. Oops. We need to return LCS. No, we need to return sequence plus LCS of x and y, because we removed the last character and we're just going to do it again. If the last characters didn't match, then we need to do it. We need to do this thing right here. So we need to return. So really, we would do something like this. LCS of x and LCS of y dot slice 0 minus 1. And then we also need to do the same thing, but the opposite. So x dot slice 0 negative 1 and y dot slice, and then just regular y. And the longer of those two, we return and repeat. So let's just call this left, right? And then the longer of the two. So if we look at the code here, the LCS can be written as the maximum of those two calls. Yeah, ternary time. Yeah, so so we return sequence plus if left dot length is greater than right dot length, then we return the left. Oh, that's easy. Otherwise, return the right. Yeah, let me get rid of this weird stuff. Oh my goodness, did we do it? So that worked there. This one broke. So we might be returning it in the wrong order. Is it like sequence after? So the length of it can be written as that plus that. Yeah, I think the sequence needs to come afterwards because we're working from backwards to front. So that works there. And then, I mean, the sequence before works in that case. ABC, ACF. We did it. Did we really do it? I think we did it. Cool. Thanks for the tips, Cass. Because that worked out. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna copy and paste this thing without all of the comments. And ultimately, just reading that algorithm are kind of what helped us. So when you're ever doing something recursively, you always need a base case. This is basically like a way to stop recursively calling itself. So the moment one of our strings runs out of characters, we're done there. Otherwise, we've broken it down into a very simple problem where we compare the last two characters of the string. If they're the same, then that's part of our sequence, and we add it onto the sequence. Then we remove those last two characters and call the function again, but without having those last two characters. And this recursive call here is going to build up that string. If the last two characters didn't match, then we have to try two different scenarios. So we have to try the scenario. Oh, wait. I got rid of, what did I get rid of? I got rid of some code. Well played. I can't believe we figured it out. I mean, obviously, reading the Geeks for Geeks really helped us, and the Wikipedia article. So that's super cool. But yeah, so if the last two characters weren't the same, we can't just chop them off because we need to account for the scenario where the last character of one string is part of the sequence and the other one isn't. So that's why we call it twice. The first time is with the last character missing from one of them, and then the second time is the last character missing from the other. And that's going to find the subsequence of those two strings. The longer one is the one that's part of our official sequence, and so we append it to the sequence there. I cannot believe it. We did it. We need a soundboard. We need some awesome sounds. Loud. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Oh, that was definitely peaking. Oh geez. Sorry everyone. Hello, Nicelaa. Welcome to the stream. Dynamic programming plus recursion and memoization. Yeah. Merchan is saying implementing the formula from LCS function define section works for me. I don't know how performant it is though. Let's oh, that's on the Wikipedia article. Where's the Wikipedia article? Let's go to it. RIP headphone users. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's how we solved it then, Merchan. Yeah, that's how we solved it. I believe. I mean, this is very like mathy looking stuff, but that's basically what we did. So we have two recursive calls and then compare them. Yeah, Cass says, does your site judge your solution on other test case? It does. So one thing we could run into is like, does the sequence here need to come afterwards? And the site will. So that is working. I think that's what we need. But yeah, let me plug it into Code Wars and see what it says. So for the sample tests, it should be good because those are just the basic ones. But when we do an attempt, it's going to run it against a bunch of different test cases. So before we go celebrating, let's see what happens. Ah, it worked. Yeah, cool. Good morning, Michael. Yes, we're doing code katas. Oh, hey, Mark. How's it going? Split with the empty string. Was this from earlier? Are you behind on the string? on the stream? Oh, that might have been whenever I was trying to do the filter. Yeah. That's probably why it didn't work. But also, as someone mentioned, there's more to it than just filtering. After coming up with the recursive solution, you should be able to write a more efficient iterative solution. Can we, though? Should we? I think we probably could. I don't know. I've been streaming for 3 hours and 20 minutes. I probably need to go to bed. But we figured out the recursive solution. I think that's good enough. Meritron is saying you should append to the end. So that's what we did. And that makes sense because we're working from right to left. I think we did it. We did it. Good morning, Ed. Welcome to the stream. Yes. A bit late. That's okay. Well played. Thank you. Thank God I had volume. I'm so sorry. Jeez, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Imagine doing that in Haskell. I could not imagine doing that in Haskell. That's a functional programming language. I'm not super familiar with that. That bell could be a wake up alarm. Good morning, Ferruccio. Welcome to the stream. Oh, hey, Mark. Is that a reference to something? When I hear Mark, I'm thinking of that show called Peep Show with Mitchell and Weber. Isn't one of them named Mark? I don't know. Robin says, go to your front-end framework playlist, scroll down, and look at the 16th video there. Is there something weird in there? Because it could have been that... I'm not going to do it on stream, but I'll do that afterwards. Thanks, Robin. Actually, I'll look on this computer. Because it could be that I was like browsing YouTube and accidentally added some weird thing to the end of that playlist. Front-end framework playlist. Bobby McFerrin documentary. That's not so bad. That's actually pretty wholesome. Thanks, Robin. It's a cool documentary, actually. That happens. Like if I'm ever looking at YouTube on mobile, sometimes I'll accidentally add the add to playlist, and then it like goes to a random place. Cool. Appreciate that. Good morning, Procelsior from Germany. Welcome. Oh, it's a quote from the room. I see. No worries, Mark. Thanks for the follow, Swimming Saucer. Cool. So this worked. I don't think I want to do it iteratively. I have been streaming for over 3 hours, so I think we're going to call it there. Let's do this final submission. And actually, we'll look at other people's solutions to see how they did it. Okay, that's the recursive solution. Cool. Again, the recursive solution. I want to see somebody do it without a recursive solution. Here we go. Split y into an array. Iterate from 0 up to the length of y. And so technically, this is a nested for loop. It's kind of hidden in the fact that we're using index of, but that really is like a loop inside of a loop. So we're saying position is x.index of y at that position. Index of takes 2 parameters? What's that about? And we are looking at an array, right? No, x is a string. So string.prototype.index of. What's the second parameter? Oh, from index, where to start searching. Oh, I didn't know that existed. That's actually really useful. So search the x string starting at the start position. So that way you can account for not finding things before. Oh, that's interesting. So this will start the search at start. Starts off at 0, but as we iterate, we increase start to search at a different place in the string. So if the position is greater than or equal to the start, then we've found a common character. Increment start and repeat. Very interesting solution. Cool. Here's another one that's not recursive. So turn x into an array, turn y into an array, and filter it. Okay, so they use the filter solution. If x.index of item does not equal negative. So if it was found, we're going to splice the x array. So we're going to put a value into x. Wait. So this is returning inside of a filter. So technically, I think this potentially will return null. Let's look at splice. And this is array splice. If no elements are removed, an empty array is returned. But an empty array is not false, right? An empty array is a truthy value. So how could they use that in the filter? Is it just returning true? Oh, it's returning true and doing a modification at the same time. Yeah, that's why. So ultimately this returns an array, but we are modifying X to put a value into it. Interesting. Okay, cool. It's good to see you too, Mark. Hope you're doing well. Hirschberg's algorithm with hashing. Is this something that I should attempt to do? The naive recursive solution is O of 2 to the n. I'm just trying to think how horrible that is. Is that worse than n squared? Yes. No? Let's look at a logarithmic graph. Big O graph. Big O cheat sheet. 2 to the n is worse than O of n squared. Much, much worse. Okay. Good morning, Alana. Welcome. We're about to end, but yes, thanks for showing up. Good morning, Programming with Peter. Yeah, it's exponential. That's a bad thing. So is this the naive recursive solution? Or is this the optimized recursive solution? I wouldn't know. Yeah, so that's what Terminal is asking. Is what the way I solved it, is that big O of 2 to the n? Let's think about it. So in the best case scenario, we compare two strings to each other, right? Two exact same strings, because we're always going to hit this scenario where the last character is equal, chop it off, compare it again. And if we do that, that is order n, because we're up to the length of the string. But down here is where it gets more complex, because we have to call it again with like twice, one without it, one with it. The recursive tree solves overlapping subproblems multiple times. Okay, so it's not optimized, and it does some repetitive work. Okay, my brain is not it's not in the right space to think about that right now. But okay, so I think I'm gonna end the stream there. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's way worse. Yeah. If I look at the chart, I can see it, but I don't have that memorized. Cool. All right, I think I'm gonna end it there. If you are new to the show, hey Alka, have you been listening this whole time? Alka face. I subbed to Alka so I could get the Alka emoji. There's also an Alka command in the chat. Yeah, so if you're new to the show, all this code gets pushed up to GitHub. If you go to github.com/codinggarden, and then there's the code-katas repo. All the code from the last episodes are there. All the code from this episode I'm going to push up as well. If you have suggestions for other katas I should solve, you can open an issue here, and next Wednesday I can take a crack at solving them. Yep. Boyan is saying, I came up with a super neat solution. We'll throw it in Discord in 10 minutes. Cool, I'll take a look. It's all good. Thanks for keeping an ear open, Alka. Yeah, you're welcome, Percelsior. Cool. So that's it. Code's there. I'm here. You're there. I'm going to get some rest. The next stream, when is the next stream? I'm going to try to do morning tea on Friday. So morning tea is a stream where I kind of mostly just answer questions instead of coding something. And I'll maybe browse the web if a lot of questions aren't coming in. But you can see the morning tea repo there. And whenever we do that, we just talk about latest stuff, answer questions, all that good stuff. So that's going to be Friday morning, which should be good for people over in Europe. Awesome. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks for all the new follows. If you stick around, there's going to be a credits roll. Everyone that followed during the stream, your name will pop up, and I appreciate you. So yeah, wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here's this.